15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
The second pick will be made by the San Antonio Spurs, and that means that the number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Wait a minute, what? Hold on. The front office in Dallas, the ownership, they get some kind of redemption arc on this whole season? No way. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I am outraged. Not about the Mavs fans, Pearl. Mavs fans deserve this. Don't get me wrong. You know, Luka gets traded away. They get a basically not as nearly what they should have gotten in return. So whether you think Luka's some sort of fat slob who's going to be on the couch smoking a hookah the rest of his life or not, they did not get a big enough return for someone of his caliber. So any way you slice it, that trade was a disaster. For the front office, Nico Harrison and this ownership group, everyone who signed off on that trade to now get a kick save and a beauty with Cooper Flagg likely going to Dallas to be the savior, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel fair. And that's why many people yesterday were speculating, oh, it feels like this whole thing is fixed.
Well, yeah, except that based on recent history, Nico Harrison is an idiot and he will screw this up anyway.
Well, that's also, not good for Mavs fans.
When you pull back, forget Mavs fans. Look at the league, like you are saying that this is a redemption arc. They still have Anthony Davis. Dude gets hurt every single year, and they're about to pay Kyrie a max, which will probably be the most ill-advised max in.
He's literally hurt.
Yeah, I mean that's going to work out terribly. So who's Cooper Flagg really going to be playing with in 2 years in Dallas? So this redemption arc, let's not get too excited for Nico Harrison. Like they, and in there in the West, not to mention, like they don't exactly cordon off the streets in Dallas for a parade yet just because you have Cooper Flagg. I was just thinking about Cooper Flagg's going to be alone in 2 years.
Okay, but here, if they mess it up, then that's doubly bad on them.
They already messed it up. They brought in Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving.
I get it, but if you get a second chance, right? Like Nico Harrison, I think we believed was going to end up getting fired very, very soon. He'd have to go back to Nike or wherever he came from or whatever. But the fact you get this second chance, and if they blow it again, I mean, that's just going to make Mavs fans feel even worse. But I don't know if that's even possible because if Cooper Flagg ends up being what we think, which is he's 18 years old, he's a phenom, and he plays both ways. Like he's everything you would want, at least on paper, and a great college freshman season. You know, how badly can you actually mess this up? Because you want to know what? Other people are going to want to play with him. Dallas becomes a destination. Even if Anthony Davis and Kyrie long past them. Again, he's 18. Anthony Davis is in his 30s. Kyrie's in his 30s. This is now runway for the next 15 years if, Dallas plays this right.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you're giving a lot of credit. You already have people wanting to play with Cooper Flagg. Dude's 18, and it was just a Duke. I like your enthusiasm here, but that's a stretch. I just think that it's funny that this will probably not result in a championship with those three. And everyone today thinks, oh, my God, they got, the names are big, Cooper Flagg, Kyrie Irving, and Anthony Davis. But just knowing Dallas, this will get messed up. That was my actual initial reaction. I'm like, oh, this is great for Dallas, but they'll probably screw it up.
Oh, man. I mean, don't do that to the Mavs fans this morning. I here's my other part. Listen, you want to be responsible when you have a national platform like the one we have. We joked around yesterday about draft lottery conspiracy theories, and we all put where we thought Cooper Flagg was going to go, like who was going to win the lottery. And now here comes Dallas with the 1.8% chance to win this lottery, okay? The fact is they did tank the end of the season. Kyrie and Anthony Davis came back at one point, but Kyrie got hurt, and they were like, this is not worth it. They would have been a playoff team had those guys been healthy. But I'm sorry, and I do want to be responsible here because you realize when you say that you think the draft is rigged, you are accusing people of some really heinous crimes, okay? Like, I don't want to lose sight of that. I just don't know how you look at A, the history of the draft, and B, the multiple theories for why this would be, advantageous to the league and other people. and not think something fishy happened. And I'm not saying the Mavericks fans have to apologize for this. Cavs fans didn't have to apologize for LeBron James, who was living down the street, who was the next generational talent. They didn't have to apologize for him conveniently going to the Cavs. I don't think the New York Knicks fans had to apologize for Patrick Ewing magically landing in New York and saving that franchise. I don't think you need to apologize for this stuff, Pearl, but how do you look at this? And I know you do. You think all this is hogwash. How do you look at it and not think something fishy's going on here?
Well, I mean, all the NBA reporters that I trust throughout the year all were very clear last night. They're like, this thing is not rigged. And also, I watched it. None of the logic holds up on any of these conspiracy theories if you actually play them out. Let's start with, how do they actually do it? Like, they're ping pong balls. I don't understand. How does the NBA, is it David Blaine? How are they making these, that part is it? But let's go through some of the popular conspiracy theories, because none of them make sense to me. Some of the stuff we were texting last night, I'm like, there was one where I'm like, well, this is just ridiculous. We're fitting, EJ said, oh, okay, they get a non-European white star finally in Dallas. Like, they had a European star for 20 years and it was great in Dallas. Like,
they're trying to replicate that, not European. I mean, they had that.
They
with
had
Luka.
2 years. No, wait, but
yes.
EJ was like a non-European would be nice. Like, of course, that's a city that fully embraces a European star. What do they care if it's European or not?
And they did, and the front office traded him away. And then the GM said, I didn't realize the connective tissue that he had with the fans. Like, you sounded like an absolute dope when he did that.
Right, but all the things. So I just like one of the popular ones is that they were rewarding the Mavs for giving Luka to the Lakers. So that means that they had called Nico. Somebody in the league office had called Nico before the trade happened and said, if you send this guy to LA, we're going to give you the draft pick. Like, do you actually think logistically that call is going to happen? That's insane.
So I'm not throwing anything out because, again, if I believe that Patrick Ewing, there was a frozen envelope, and if I believe the Cavaliers got LeBron James and that wasn't an accident, then I've got to believe anything could be possible. And I realize in real life this is a slippery slope. I'm not trying to get into the moon landing and JFK assassination. Let's just talk about sports, okay? If you believe one thing, you got to believe that the league's capable of almost anything. And I think the thing why people believe that type of theory is not that Nico Harrison got called, but that this happens at the ownership level. And I do think that you can keep this to a pretty tight-knit group. And I think that David Stern, who is known as, may he rest in peace, one of the great commissioners that we've had in sports for how he grew the NBA and the way he did, took advantage of the international aspect of it and all that. He ruled like a tyrant. I would say that to his face. I worked at the NBA. He intimidated people so that they would not, cross him. And I think that even though Adam Silver is not that same guy, I do think there's still a little of that left. I do think there is hey, this is good for everybody. And I think you can get things done at an ownership level where you don't have to involve 100 people. You don't have to involve 50. I think that a conspiracy means 3, right? 3 people have to know. Isn't that? I think that's the legal definition of conspiracy, not just 2. I think it's got to be 3. I think you can get something like this done with 3 people knowing.
So you're saying it was the owner, not Nico Harrison, who traded for a guy that Nico Harrison's loved his whole life, and Anthony Davis?
I think that if you believe this, and you're right, this was the prevailing theory that was online last night.
Which is an accurate place to live.
Which now we're bringing on to national radio and all of our amazing affiliates. Good morning. We're obsessed with you. I think that it's interesting to say, all right, LA needs a star. LeBron's winding down. Luka could be that guy, and then here you go. Here's a little something for you. Now, I don't know if I think that's the number one theory, but I understand why people immediately went there.
Right. But
you think there's nothing to it?
No, I think it's a bunch of random ping pong balls that land in a certain way. And I think flattening the odds is insane, by the way. The NBA has to get rid of that system.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
They are destroying parity in the league because the second year in a row, a double-digit seed has got number 1. So I think the NBA, honestly, I think the one thing people was like, oh, okay, the Mavericks got Cooper Flag. This is Billy a champion. There's a long way to go to Billy. I don't even know that Cooper Flag's the best player in this draft. Like, everyone's getting so excited about him. It's not Shaq coming into the Magic. That's the other thing, too. Okay, well, that's again, a once-in-a-generation thing. But I ask you, who would fans, the league,
in terms of, you love talking about primetime games. We're talking about that with the NFL now. The NFL is a different calculus, but you talk about marketable people and people you can sell. Who was the most famous basketball player in college? Like, it was rare that we even had a star that became such a household name. You're telling me that Ace Bailey walks down the street in Milwaukee and they know who he is?
Right,
No
but
shot.
Cooper could have judged up any franchise. Why Dallas?
Well, that's where you get into the theories. And I'm curious if people out there believe it at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Again, we're in a tough spot. I want to be like, there is a journalism part of like my life that I want to be fair. And I've talked to those same people who've been in the room and seen the ping pong balls. I've also worked at the NBA, and it's a huge industry.
Huge, incompetent company, by the way. Fully incompetent, like wildly incompetent.
Well,
the fact that they're brilliant enough to pull that off, get out of here.
Well, if you think they've been doing it since 1985, then they got a lot of practice. But
I don't, and I don't think, honestly, I was watching, again, it's the replay reviews. I'm like, they can pull off this massive conspiracy, but they can't figure out if it hits a dude's leg within 6 minutes.
I mean, fair. But I think that when you realize the breadth and depth of this league, how many people worldwide are relying on this, making their money off of this, how many economies are changed in an instant because of these ping pong balls, it makes you wonder, how do you leave this up to chance? And you're right. The NFL, it's just whoever sucks the worst and they get the number one pick.
They're killing it.
There's not a perfect thing here, but when it comes to the NBA, I think people believe that they manipulate things. There's a reason why Scott Foster is a household name as a referee. Tim Donaghy scandal makes people think that something weird is going on. The NBA at times has not done themselves favors because it feels like there's logic. Now, we're talking about Cooper Flagg going to the Mavs and whether you think now that the lottery is rigged. Here's two more theories I saw out there last night. Not just that, hey, Lakers need a star, Mavs do us this solid trade. Maybe they wanted to trade him anyway. Maybe they didn't have to be strong-armed into this. And we'll give you Cooper Flagg. I think there's another one. New owners in Dallas, casino magnates. Maybe behind the scenes, they actually were threatening to move the team to Las Vegas. Not outright. They've never said anything like this publicly. So this is where you got to go a little dark, deep behind the scenes. Maybe they were. And they said, listen, we want a star now that's younger than Anthony Davis, younger than Kyrie Irving. Kyrie's got baggage. He can be a little harder to promote. Give us a fresh slate with a young, fresh-faced guy. So that could be one. And then the other, the Mavericks owners really want to get sports betting into Texas in a way that is massive, right? Texas, California still don't have that, like these legalized sports betting, like sports books that you walk in, or they don't have legalized betting, like you can't get FanDuel and DraftKings there. So to build a casino, to build a resort, to build a new stadium, an owner may say, hey, we just spent $3.5 billion for this team. And on top of it, we want a new arena. And on top of it, this. And on top of it, that. And look at what we're going to do. Can we be rewarded with the top pick?
So why'd they trade Luka for peanuts then, if all that was going on?
Maybe it's maybe it's two theories together. Maybe the Lakers needed a star and also Dallas needed a little cherry on top because of all the investment that these owners are going to make into the Dallas Metroplex area.
That seems like a direct conflict. Like all the reasons you described don't ring true because they traded Luka. To me, I was like, well, if you want all those things, then don't trade your best player for peanuts.
Maybe they actually do feel like Luka's not going to hold up.
Or is there a possibility that maybe this all just happened?
Wait a minute. Just happened?
Yeah,
No.
and also, too, there was a theory like Adelson, the owner, his family wants to move it to Vegas. That's been shot down by a lot of reporters, too.
Yeah, that's what I said.
not
Behind the scenes, they were threatening to move the team.
Right. But we know the NBA secretly wants that expansion fee badly.
That's why Major League Baseball feels like they made a big mistake. They should have just expanded the league to Vegas rather than moving the Oakland A's.
They definitely, like, the NBA owners are not going to let anyone move to Vegas.
No, you expand to Vegas because then all the owners automatically cash in.
But it's funny. It's really hard to carry any of the conspiracy theories true without running into a little bit of logic problem because of the bizarre Luka trade. I just think it's so funny. It's
connected. It's got to be.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure Silver called Nico Harrison and was like, dude, here's what you're going to do. It's crazy. Luka for Anthony Davis and no draft picks, like it's got to be, huh?
So I think there's two things that's at play here, and I'd love to hear from our audience. We're on in Dallas right now, so I imagine everyone's just thrilled. And honestly, for Mavs fans, thrilled for you. But 2 questions. 1, do you think the draft is rigged? And 2, do the Mavs actually deserve Cooper Flag? And I'm sorry, that's for people outside of Dallas. For the Utahs and the Washingtons and the Brooklyns and there are no Brooklyn fans, but you know what I'm saying. Do they deserve it? The fans do, but Nico Harrison, these owners, they deserve Flag. They deserve a shot at another generational star. Doesn't feel right.
Well,
Feels like they're getting bailed out.
yeah, it's called ping pong balls. I don't know what to tell you. Did Atlanta deserve Ricochet?
Maybe.
Who knows? Honestly, the other thing too is like the Mavs are building this really impressive young team. Man, they are stuck in a crazy West right now. The Spurs, I think honestly a bigger headline is the Spurs get the number 2 pick.
Spurs get the number 2 pick. We'll talk
Is that
about
a
that.
conspiracy or is that just luck? That one I'm not sure.
I don't know how deep it goes, Pearl.
But that is like now all of a sudden they're a powerhouse. You got the Thunder, you got the T-Wolves who are super young. Like, can they give some of these guys to the East?
How about some potentially 6'11" Greek god who may be also on his way to the Western Conference?
Yeah.
Giannis?
Right, exactly. So the balance of power, like Dallas, even if the best case scenario happens with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Cooper Flag, they are in a battle royale of super teams in the West now. I mean, you know who I feel bad for? The Phoenix Suns.
Oh, well, they botched that. That new owner got nothing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, a big 3 ain't what it used to be in the West. It is going to be a brutal conference moving forward. And the East, we'll get into later, just got much worse last night. So all of a sudden, you're going to have your varsity and junior varsity conferences. It's going to be a wild scene.
Yeah, to me, though, the Flag situation is not just about how do you maximize Anthony Davis and Kyrie? Makes the trade look a little better. But it's really about the future for Dallas. It was Luka, now it's Flag. And Dallas gets to pass a torch, and not the way they probably thought, but they get to pass a torch from one superstar to another. You had Dirk, then Luka, and now Flag.
But the future only, in the NBA, the only thing that matters is winning a title. It's a ring culture. So the question is, and I just think that everything looks so great now. It's like, I think Mavs fans are thinking championship, right? You better be. But I don't know. I think there's a long way to go because I don't trust Nico Harrison. I know you think he has Adam Silver in his left ear, but I just do not trust this team because that trade was so bad with Luka. Imagine he could have Luka and Cooper Flag. I think, actually, I don't know.
Well, no, they would have made the playoffs. And
not really. They were pretty bad.
888-710, that's true. Luke was hurt. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, so 2 things out there. Do you think the NBA draft lottery is rigged? We're not pointing specific fingers at any one person here, but do you think it's rigged? And 2, do the Mavs deserve Flag? You saw that and thought what? 888-710-4ISN. We will get to Jason Tatum, who was carried off the court yesterday in what looked like a non-contact injury that some are speculating could be something very, very serious. It did not look good. 2 3-1 leads in both of those series. The Knicks up 3-1 now over the Celtics and looking like they are in control with Tatum gone. And the T-Wolves turning a 2-point halftime deficit into a 20-point lead by the end of the third quarter, and they are up 3-1. 888-710-4ISN. Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We are debating whether there was a conspiracy to help the Mavs get the number one pick in last night's NBA draft lottery. I was actually wondering, I have so many questions about this. Why don't they just conspirize through the years, not just this year, to have the big markets get all the stars? Like the biggest, why don't they make New York and LA and Chicago perennial champions then, if they can run the show?
Right. So I think a couple things. One, Dallas is a huge market. So I think that would fall into the theory of a big market getting a star last night.
But historically,
right, Wemby goes to San Antonio.
Orlando, Palo Banchero.
So first of all, I think you have, those are also destinations generally for free agents. So like when this first started that he wanted to leave Milwaukee, small market, who were the first names on the list? LA, New York, and Miami.
That's because he said that, I think, to a reporter, right?
Right. So it's like, yeah, he may end up in San Antonio. He may end up in a smaller market, but.
So the lottery, they don't need the lottery to get the stars there.
The Lakers just had Luka fall out of the sky.
So why'd they give Patrick Ewing to the Knicks?
Well, I think they wanted the New York market. back in 1985, Pearl. I don't even know where free agency was in 85.
So, okay.
We're talking about modern time. Not
So
that
now-
85 wasn't modern, but you know what I mean.
just said Dallas was a big market. So which is it?
So I think it's not one size fits all. Like any good conspiracy
In other words, it might
theory.
just be random.
Well,
As
I
in
know
ping
you
pong
love
balls
to say
floating in
that.
the air.
Do you think that LeBron James going to the Cavs was random?
Maybe that one was fixed.
Okay,
but-
so if you believe that one is, then I hate to do the rabbit hole slippery
I
slope.
saw
Then you
these-
have to think everything's on the table.
No, I saw these two lawyers standing by the ping pong balls last night. I was like, oh, they are not fixing this. Those
Yeah.
guys are not messing around.
Yeah, they're the same people who messed up the Oscars. They're not
That was just
infallible.
Nobody messed up the Oscars. The woman read the wrong card.
They gave him the wrong envelope. It wasn't the same thing. Ernst and Young. I'm
right.
saying that chain of command, things happen. Things get weird. Mike is in Dallas. We're asking you today 2 questions. 1, do you think the lottery is rigged? Perloff, staunch no. Me, you betcha. 2, did Dallas deserve to get Cooper Flagg? Mike, what do you think?
Well, do you ever get the feeling everything's going on a lot more than we think it is?
Sounds like the intro to the X-Files. Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, the thing that I don't like about it, Maggie, is initially when they traded Luka, it was at midnight on Friday. You know, it was a news dump story, and they never shopped him around.
Yeah,
So-
it was egregious.
I mean, and so anyone who would make that big of a mistake would get fired unless you had some kind of ultimate master plan. I don't know.
Right.
But
So
regardless.
Right. So, well, here's the thing about that, Mike. I see where you're going, right? How did Nico Harrison, the GM, keep his job even for 5 minutes after you realized that he got completely hosed on this trade? It's a fair question. Well, I think there's an answer there. 1, the owner has to sign off on it. He can't, Nico can't do this unilaterally. And 2, I think firing him right after, I thought he'd at least get a couple months. I don't know. Where they could all, listen, they all publicly came out and were behind the trade and leaking to every reporter who had a pen and paper how much a disaster Luka was behind the scenes in terms of being out of shape, not being serious. They had real concerns about his body holding up.
Hookah.
Yes.
So-
Thank you, Bugs.
But just to play it out, so you probably agree that do you agree that they didn't fire Nico because they knew they were winning the lottery?
I'm open to the idea that there could have been a little quid pro quo here. I'm open to that idea. I'm not cutting it off. Daniel's in Fort Worth. Daniel, how are you, sir?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks for taking my call. I think clearly the NBA is rigged. There's no way that we go from the most disastrous trade, not only in sports history, but obviously the NBA history. And then in the same year, within a span of 3 months, the Mavericks have never moved up in the draft, not one position ever in the history of their franchise since 1980. And then we move up and take another generational talent. I think clearly anybody with a brain can see that this is fixed. Do I think that Adam Silver colluded with Nico Harrison? No, I don't think that happened. I think this was a way for the NBA to save a franchise and inject life into the Dallas Mavericks fans and keep them from running in droves. And I am a Mavericks fan.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of answers your second question. Like, does Dallas deserve this? Well, does Nico Harrison and Dumont deserve it? Absolutely not. Those guys deserve something I can't say on the radio. But do the Mavericks fans deserve this? Yes, because we had our guts ripped out of our stomach 3 months ago due to incompetence.
Yeah. Daniel's a solid call all the way around.
Well, let
And
me ask, what about
I'm
all
with
the
you.
other fan bases who did win the lottery? Aren't they all, don't you need to save those fan bases? I mean, I'm assuming Jazz fans are pretty upset right now.
Yeah, but they didn't have, Karl Malone and John Stockton weren't just traded to the Lakers 3 months ago for a bag of balls.
Right, but you're gutting about 8 franchises. Like, or is the NBA not worried about those franchises? Like, why Dallas? I'm just curious, because it was so dramatic that how they lost Luka.
I mean, you can't ignore the fact that Dallas, this was the biggest story. And as Daniel said rightfully, this may go down as the worst trade in the history of sports. And then all of a sudden it feels like a bailout comes right behind you so that Mavs fans can feel better and also so that the franchise can continue to have face that's not Anthony Davis, who's oft injured. And again, Kyrie can be problematic. You're one tweet away from Kyrie being a massive story in a negative way.
But what about fans in Charlotte, Utah, Washington, New Orleans, Brooklyn, Toronto? Aren't they Portland? Aren't they all a little turned off right now? Why would the NBA? Don't they need to save those fan bases too? You picked Washington as your team.
I did. It's called prioritizing. I mean, that's the only thing I can give you. I thought Washington made a lot of sense. I thought there was a little bit of a renaissance. It's also a big market. Jaden Daniels, they're trying to get this resurrection. I was obviously wrong.
I love that you don't even have an inch of a smile on your face right now.
No, I do not. I'm dead serious. But here's the other part. You're talking about, like when you have an agent, right? And agents work, they have more than one client. So a lot of times what agents will do is they'll say, hey, I can put one client here and then I can put another client here, right? So you're trying to spin multiple plates and keep people happy in different ways. And in some ways, this kind of does that. You get a star in LA in Luka who can take the torch from LeBron James. Lakers continue their incredible run of getting stars that fall into their lap. And then you also get Dallas, who appears to have a lot at stake here in terms of, again, sports gambling, new arenas, whatever they're going to be doing in Dallas. It kind of feels like everyone sort of gets what they want.
Except for a lot of other teams.
Charlotte, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but there's, I'm sorry to jump in, but like as Maggie said, like we also don't know all the behind the scenes stuff that changes the list of priorities. Like maybe the Blazers, whatever, it's not their time. They don't deserve it yet in the NBA's eyes. But the Mavs have this new owner. There's the whole casino angle. Now they don't have Luka, so they get Cooper Flag. I mean, we just didn't.
Well,
we underestimated how badly the league fell for Dallas. We should have seen this coming. Us conspiracy theorists, we should have seen
1.8% chance
that this was on the table. And
I think everybody, by the way, we all had different teams. I think everybody made a good case for their team.
But I thought the Nets, I thought the Nets having a 9% chance was too obvious, so that they weren't going to win the lottery, and we went to a 1.8. So the NBA knows no bounds.
Yeah, it happened last year. It actually seems to. Was it? Again, possible, just the way ping pong balls fly. I'm just throwing out that crazy wacky
And it's a
theory.
combination of ping pong balls, right? You need to have a certain combo.
Yeah.
It's like unlocking some kind of like safe. It's not like all the ping pong balls have like the picture of the,
right.
the
logo
on it, and then you pick one out. Like, hey,
but that would have been
Dallas.
good TV if your code actually opened a safe and Cooper Flag was waiting inside.
But let me just ask. I'm sorry. Why doesn't the NBA have an issue?
Alive? He's alive,
Yeah,
right?
they got air in there.
Okay.
Doesn't NBA have an issue with Brooklyn being totally irrelevant? Isn't that a bit of a problem for
I'm
the
a
league?
little surprised that the Nets didn't end up in the top 3.
Well, can I just tell you, this is where bigger markets tend to attract stars. Like we've talked about, Giannis could possibly
they're going to trade for Giannis.
So, and I know that you're saying, well, Dallas is a big market, right? But things changed in Dallas very quickly back in February.
Well, it feels like you can fit any theory to hit your theory.
Yes.
Well,
Look at how that worked
That's
out.
why it's the perfect theory from
right.
every angle.
This
Maggie's
Dallas
never
is a big
wrong.
market, but big markets don't need the lottery help, except for this because.
they trade away Luka. Pearl, it's right there.
But
in front
if
of your
Dallas
face.
is such a big
Open
market,
your
they can
third
get
eye.
free agents anyway.
But you're also making our point because you're saying all the reasons that are quote unquote obvious why it's not rigged and why the NBA is doing this legitimately, and they make just as much sense as us.
Right, that's
thinking
what I'm saying. Like Washington has a new arena. Like they could have gotten somebody. Charlotte wants a new
That's
arena.
what the NBA
like,
wants.
Everybody in the top 10 desperately needed Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
Like it's not just Dallas.
Listen, you got to pick sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard choice.
Okay, explain Philly at 3. That one I'd love.
That
to
one I
hear.
don't like.
That one sucks.
I mean, maybe they throw that one in there to try to get us off the scent. Maybe they're trying to cover their tracks by no one likes the Sixers, but we give them number 3. It looks like the
this-
ping pong balls.
it feels like a
just
three-
fell in their favor.
A 3-star draft. I'll tell you right now, a lot of those other teams could have used a star.
Agreed.
We see you guys on the phones. We're asking you 2 questions today. Do you believe the NBA draft is rigged? And 2, the draft lottery is rigged. And 2, do the Mavs deserve Cooper Flag? Hold tight. We'll get to you. Bogusch is here with all the latest. We had some big news, unfortunately, injury news from last night.
All the headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com. Next up, a parade down the Canyon of Heroes here in Manhattan. The Knicks with a fairly clear path now to the NBA Finals, where they'd encounter a Western Conference team beat up by that gauntlet. The Celtics, for sure, no match for Bridges and the boys.
Brunson, sidestep into the corner. It's Bridges. Drives down the lane. Fadeaway from the dotted line. It's good at the end of the shot clock. Largest lead for New York. 111-104. It's a 7-point lead with 3:21 to go. Timeout, Joe Mazzulla.
Tyler Murray on Knicks radio.
He's good.
Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns with 23 points apiece in support of Jalen Brunson's 39 and 12 assists. The Knicks pulling away for a 121-113 win at MSG and a 3-1 series lead. And they probably don't need to deal with Jason Tatum anymore in this series. The Celtic star seems to suffer an Achilles injury in the final moments last night. As expected, no concrete update post-game from Joe Mazzulla.
I just asked him how he was doing, so I'll get that MRI tomorrow, and we'll see what it is.
I think the last time we saw Tatum last night in a wheelchair in utter despair being taken down the tunnels at MSG.
That was tough. That was a tough
Yeah,
scene.
his reaction, even the most staunch anti-Boston person, it's hard, or anti-Duke or whatever, it's hard not to feel for him at that point. And also, he was killing it last night.
Yeah, balling out. They
Bucket for
stop
bucket.
him.
I got to tell you one thing. I've been thinking about this. Like, Tatum had a big game, but man, he killed them too in the third quarter. When he started chucking up those threes, then they couldn't get. The Knicks got to transition off of that. He was 1 for 6 for 3 in the third quarter, and that's when the Knicks exploded. Like they know that Tatum's going to get hot, but they also know that Tatum is not going to get hot. Where are the rest of the Celtics? Like, where's the rest of the team?
Brown was not good. I mean, Brown is nothing. Derek White's not having the same impact that he had before.
Yeah, Drew Holiday's
can only
got
play,
old.
limited minutes and didn't
Porzingis
start.
and Horford are terrible. I'm like, by the way, the Celtics have no chance now, right? Are we going no chance? Does that say? I know you can't comment.
And I'm going to stay quiet.
Because Jaylen Brown can't. It looks like he's stuck in cement.
Yeah, I mean, the path is they had this big rally in Game 5 for Tatum, and then the Knicks choke Game 6, and then you're back in Boston in Game 7, and who knows what happens.
I thought the Warriors were going to use that same logic, and I was proven wrong.
Up until halftime, you were feeling good, but then after the third quarter, no.
Also, one more thing. I don't think the Knicks were going to lose that game if Tatum was healthy because they've been so much better in the fourth quarter than the Celtics. Radically better.
I don't know. The way that Jason Tatum was playing, the way that they were switching Karl Anthony Towns on him and trying to get Jalen Brunson on him, I think he could have gotten hot late in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, but
The game was up for grabs.
I don't think so because
No, I'm with Pearl.
I
think if the Knicks are within 10 points, that's a Knicks W no matter what. Because they're so much better
You
in the
met the
fourth quarter.
24-25 Knicks?
Well, they
Yeah,
have
they-
been amazing closing games, though.
Well, they are just so much better in the fourth quarter than the Celtics. It's huge.
Well, really, it's Brunson and Bridges who've
Yeah,
been amazing in the fourth quarter.
and
In
Brunson
this series,
is amazing.
Brunson is up.
It just stinks that they were just throwing haymakers at each other, and that's how it ended up with Jason Tatum writhing in pain.
I think the Knicks win it. By the way, I don't want to hear the Knicks won this because of Jason Tatum's injury. I think the Knicks have outplayed the Celtics.
We got hurt with 3 minutes left to go. Well, again, I actually did think the game was still in the balance.
Yeah,
but-
I mean, you could argue it, but definitely the Knicks deserve full credit. I mean, they outplayed them last night.
Yeah, I mean, and the highlight I played goes into a timeout. They come out of the timeout, and the turnover is when Tatum gets hurt and OG dunks, and they're up by 9. I'm with you. Like, they're winning that game last night. Like, they're up 3-1 before Tatum gets hurt. So, like, maybe there's one last little scare from Boston in that game, but they didn't. The game was already won in my mind last night, which means the series is already won. At 3-1.
I mean, I don't want to jinx your Knicks, but
I do.
The Bogusch and I are trying to wrap
Please
our head
allow
around
me.
Maggie. Are we gonna be able to deal with the Knicks fans here if they win the whole thing? It's already a gigantic fear.
Manny's being very classy today.
Except he's literally wearing like 4 layers of Knicks gear.
Well,
I patted him on the back, and there's.
Do you want me to just come naked then? Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, bro?
Why are you wearing a Knicks puffer jacket right now? It's the middle of May.
Because it was 50 degrees in the morning. What are you talking about? Did you walk outside?
I did. My jacket's not 4 layers thick like yours is.
thick do
I
you
couldn't
think
even
this
feel
is?
your body when I patted you on the back this morning. Congratulations on
That's
the
because
win.
of my giant back, because I'm so buff.
No. It was soft
Doing
and
push-ups
fluffy, not
last night.
muscular.
All these lat pull downs, son. Go Knicks.
Sorry, son.
Pull down.
The Warriors, by the way, continue to play and lose without Steph Curry. Now in a 3-1 hold of the T-Wolves after a 117-110 home loss. Golden State did lead by 2 at intermission, but then got boat race in the third quarter, 39-17. Here's Steve Kerr.
They kept scoring, and we couldn't score, so we just lost our ability to connect the game there in that third quarter, and they got loose, and that was the difference in the game.
Anthony Edwards scoring 16 of his 30 in that third. Curry not expected to return from his hamstring injury for Game 5 tomorrow. I will say one thing about the lottery. I'll take half a point on the fact that the Jazz and the Wizards ended up at 5 and 6, despite sharing the best record or the best chance at number 1. So they were kept far away from that top pick.
Yeah, that was,
I thought.
Most of the energy here was with the Jazz and the Wizards, and the Nets were going to win.
Yeah.
And they weren't even close.
No, not even a little bit.
In what people believe is a 3-person draft, they're sitting outside. Although I think that's going to change. I think there's more guys than just 3.
I mean, my Sixers spread wants Knipple because they only watch at Duke. But Knipple was going to go 5 or 6. I think he'll be okay.
Well, hey, maybe he'll be a Brooklyn Net.
I think he will. I mean, I think they're right in the range for him.
The other dude, I can never say his last name, the center, measured ridiculously yesterday at the Combine. Did you see that? Yeah. He's 7 foot barefoot, no sneakers, and he's got basically a 9.5 foot standing reach. That guy is insane.
I thought you were going to say he's got a giant, like a 9 foot, and I thought, oh, Maggie got the Maggie foot.
So
we share shoes.
This is a very good.
But that
draft.
makes sense for him. He's 7'2".
Ah, fair enough.
It does seem like this is the year to win the lottery, or all these teams.
You think?
It's going to be a really good draft.
The draft bust.
Last year was terrible. This year is going to be really good.
More NFL scheduled tidbits last night. The Eagles will host the Bears on Black Friday night. Broncos at Chiefs on Christmas night. Both those games are on Amazon Prime. The Edmonton Oilers blanked Vegas last night 3-0 after the Hurricanes fought off the Capitals 5-2. Edmonton and Carolina now have 3-1 series lead. Quick baseball score, the Royals staying hot. A 7-5 win in Houston. They've taken 8 of their last 10. Bobby Witt Jr., 2 more RBI in that one. Guys, back to you.
I took my jacket off, Bogusch. Is this better? I've got my Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, your holy trinity of man crushes on
Can
your
I get an amen?
You realize it's only gonna get worse. 888-710-4ISN.
I've literally never been here before, so
710.
How do we get EJ stuck in Mexico? How does that work?
476. I know EJ's on his way to Mexico right now, but in the
ESPN
chat,
Deportes, brother.
YouTube.com/
Get ready to learn Spanish, buddy.
Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. We're on X at Maggie Great. We see you guys on the phones asking you a simple question, not a simple answer. You think the NBA draft lottery is rigged? It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Big night in the NBA. Before the games even got underway, you had the Dallas Mavericks winning the NBA draft lottery in a stunner. Only had a 1.8% chance. Obviously, they were the center of the basketball world for all the wrong reasons, Pearl, because they traded away Luka Doncic, and there was so much backlash from the fans and the media and everything. They were sunk, and now here comes Cooper Flagg, presumably, the phenom from Duke, to inject new life into the franchise that Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving didn't exactly have.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was obviously the hope that Kyrie and Anthony Davis would be healthy next year and they'd be a contender. Now it's really interesting. I feel like this team's on a bit of a razor's edge, though, because, as you said, Anthony Davis always gets hurt. Kyrie Irving is also always gets hurt. Yep. And then you have this young Cooper Flagg who's still so young. Like, what's the time? It reminds me a little bit of Luka stuck out there with LeBron. Like, short term, is this going to work? I thought there was a lot of pressure on the Lakers to make it work on the short term, and it did not.
Yeah.
I'm curious, are we gonna look at Dallas and say, if they come up short next year, are we going to say, oh man, this didn't work out? You know how we are. We might not. I understand, like, Cooper Flagg should be there a decade, but we tend to not look ahead of a decade. We're probably going to judge this team pretty harshly next year.
I actually have an analogy that I think works, but I want to get to our pal Jay, who's in Nashville. Jay, we're asking, do you think the NBA draft lottery is rigged?
Well, Maggie, Mom, Jeans, and McPimpin. The question is basically, do you now realize the NBA is telling you to your face, we're going to do whatever we want to do, and even in your face, and you're going to like it.
Yeah.
And really, they shouldn't call it the NBA lottery anymore. They just call it the Showcase Showdown or Times Square 3-card Monty, basically, because they're playing mind games with everybody they think they are. But come on, we're not stupid. They're kind of insulting our intelligence by thinking, oh, it's not rigged. Not even rigged. They're just doing what they want to do. But really, I called in for Knicks fans and all that. And what's up, Manny? And I know EJ ain't there right now. But look, Only thing, hey, best advice I can give y'all right now, because I'm 51 years old and I've never seen the Knicks win a championship. But don't start feeling yourself. You know what I mean? Don't start feeling yourself. Keep your hard hat and your work boots on. And
those are Timberlands.
You keep your Tim boots on, the real Tim boots, not some fake ones that they be wearing around here sometimes. But into the U.S. military, I hope you got the National Guard on deck if they do win, especially if they win in New York. You know what I mean? And during the parade, you better have like SEAL Team 6 or the Rambo himself.
Wait
you know
a minute,
what I mean?
Jay.
Or the
Hold on,
or
Jay.
the 100 men that's supposed to fight the gorilla. You better have them on deck too. So
The
what's
100
going
men
on?
fighting the gorilla. I love that. Everyone has got to get called in that day. They need extra backup. But you just told Manny, don't get too big. Don't start looking ahead. Meanwhile, you're telling him to bring the National Guard in for the parade.
If it happens, I'm saying, because come on, man. Have you seen like some of the videos? They're just barely winning these playoff games, and it's going insane. But
I mean, let's not bring up the loss to the Pacers last year.
Because we're starving. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, well, they're desperate, Jay. And thank you for the phone call.
Been desperate all my life.
Here, the Manny Rodriguez story. Lonely, desperate, and cold.
Name of my documentary.
So, Pearl, back to the draft lottery, though. Jay is saying this feels blatant in our faces. Nothing will be as more blatant as giving the Cavaliers LeBron James. This one feels like it's in that category. JT's in Atlanta. JT, what do you think, sir?
This is, obvious. And this is the thing. Pearl, I don't know how you could not believe that this is rigged. Because, again, this is not the first example. We could go back to the coin flip for Magic over the phone. They were like, oh, let's see what it is. Oh, heads, Lakers, look at you guys. You won. This is so obvious. Like you said, Maggie, LeBron going to Cleveland. What's his name going to Chicago? When LeBron leaves, they get the number one for Kyrie. When Davis leaves, they get number one for, the Pelicans get the number one the next season. Right. There's always been this history of pacification for certain teams that suffer some sort of hardship the year before, or that the league wants to kind of have an agenda that, you want to play the hometown guy playing for the hometown team. And it's just obvious. Like you said, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. This is just a blatant, like, hey, and going back, looking at it in 2020, we should have all known, like, if you were dating a stripper and she cheated on you, you're like, dang, that was probably obvious, right? Like, that was going to happen. This is the same thing. We all knew that this was going to happen. Like, how do we not know that Nico still got his job? How? Why? For what? Because something else is coming down the road. And it's just obvious to everybody that the draft, I don't know about the rest of the league being rigged, but this part of it, who goes where?
Yeah, JT, can I also add a few more reasons why the NBA doesn't get the benefit of the doubt here? And thank you for the call. And listen, Perloff is staunch, saying this is just chance and ping pong balls, and that's a fine way to think. But there's other things that I think the NBA doesn't help itself. How they handled the Donaghy scandal, which could have been way bigger. I think they really got involved there. There's a theory that it is actually David Stern who ended up leaking the story to the New York Times to get out and blow and get out in front of it before they had a chance to have to answer some really tough questions from, I don't know if it's the FBI that was investigating, but another governmental body. The second thing is when David Stern nixed the trade of Chris Paul to the Lakers. The NBA gets involved in weird ways here that beyond just the draft, it makes it feel like they've manipulated pieces on the chessboard.
Well, they were controlling, was it the Hornets?
Yeah.
They were actually, the league was controlling that team. And again, I always think of that Chris Paul, like, okay, so they didn't let a great player go to the Lakers. So how does that fit your theory?
I'm just saying, I don't know, but because I think they wanted to.
It's the exact opposite of everything we're saying here. They wouldn't let they wouldn't let the Lakers become a dynasty by kiboshing that trade.
Because I think they were probably worried that if they took Chris Paul at that point away from the Hornets, that there would be a real problem with that value of that franchise potentially dropping. Listen,
But they did. They took him away anyway.
I don't have all the inner workings of the paperwork here. I'm just telling you, we know the league got involved.
Well,
and it felt like it was
right.
weird.
They were actually the league.
They were running the team.
Yeah, they were the GM of the team,
which also feels really weird.
Well, that was a weird situation
conflict.
because the ownership was in limbo, right?
Yeah, it was like George Shinn, I believe, was the name of the owner.
Yeah, there wasn't much. That was a very unique situation. But then again, if this was a conspiracy league, they definitely would have given Chris Paul to the Lakers. I mean,
well, instead, Pau Gasol
a
went to
child
the
could
Lakers.
put that conspiracy together.
So Kobe got Pau Gasol right after, you know? So, again, 888-710-4ISN. We all know that ended well. 888-710-4476. Do you think the draft lottery is rigged? We're going to talk to our big Mavs fan next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Well, as if things with the Dallas Mavericks couldn't get any wilder, they trade Luka Doncic mid-season, Pearl. It's a disaster. The fan base is up in arms. They're protesting outside the stadium. It's just a wild scene. And now it turns out they just had to wait a couple months because now the NBA draft lottery's last night, and what drops out of the sky with a 1.8% chance, but Duke phenom Cooper Flagg. Obviously, it looks like they're going to take him next month in the NBA draft, and so Dallas gets a second shot.
Unbelievable. You could not write this script. We tried yesterday. We failed miserably.
I know. I feel like a dope for thinking the Wizards were going to get it. How dare I with their 14% chance. But I was thinking about one person and one person only, and it's the biggest Mavs fan that I know, that you know, that exists, I think, in this world outside of Mark Cuban, and that's Master Tesfatsion, who joins us now from Barcelona, Spain. Master, who is written for all your favorite publications. You watch him on Amazon Prime, Bleacher Report, Washington Post, everything. Master, congratulations to your Mavs.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're up in the middle of the night in Barcelona watching the draft lottery. Could you have ever thought this would be the outcome?
I mean, sometimes Adam Silver makes the call. So, there's a slight chance, even though it's 1.8%, that I thought, maybe the basketball gods will reward us for what a miserable year it's been. So I did stay up for that reason. I was just hoping for top 4. That was like, if we could get top 4, then you can navigate this pick how you want to, either draft someone where it seems like there's a lot of talent, of course, in the top 4 of this draft, that you can get a player, a franchise player potentially for the next 20 years, or you could trade this piece to go get a Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo. To get the first overall pick, mind you, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I know there's a lot of Knicks fans that are listening. We're naturally delusional in our own ways. And congratulations on your Knicks win. As delusional as I wanted to be, this surpasses any hope and expectation I could have ever had for how last night transpired.
Wait, Master, had you given up a little bit on your Mavs after the Luka trade?
Nah, I didn't. And the reason why was actually, of course, I was dejected just like every other Mavs fan was when the trade happened. I didn't understand it. Then I go to New Orleans for Super Bowl week, and I'm walking around Radio Row all week. And it's my first time being back in Super Bowls in like 5 years. So I'm excited. I'm eager just to go see everyone again that I haven't seen in a long time. And everyone's coming to me like, oh, bro, sorry for your loss. Like, someone died. And every single encounter I got where I'm just like, hey, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. How you been? Let's catch up. And like, bro, how you doing? Are you okay? I'm worried about you. And I'm just like, no, hold on. First off, I don't like when people have that level of sympathy for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be okay. There's naturally like a rejection that I have towards that. But also the way people were making it play out, like we didn't just get an NBA 75 player. And on how that roster looked, I could kind of understand Nico's logic to a certain extent in terms of the defensive issues that happen when Luka Doncic is on the pitch, on the court, and also some of the concerns that you have with the conditioning that he has. I think there's a very logical and valid criticism that Mavs fans have had in the past that you were hoping could evolve and continue to develop. Nico just had enough and thought there was a plan B to the whole situation. And I thought the roster on paper was a very competitive roster that could compete for a championship. And of course, all the injuries happened, and I couldn't have ever guessed how everything transpired after that. So it's just a roller coaster of emotions that have happened since February. That I couldn't go to sleep.
Yeah,
I've been up. It's like 1 p.m. right now in Barcelona, and I'm just, I'm up for the games. I'm watching the Warriors game as well, which ends at like 7 a.m. And next thing you know, sun's up, and my mind's just racing about Cooper Flagg with, Anthony Davis and Derek Lively in the front court, and then who you're going to try and get there at the point guard position to help alleviate the Kyrie Irving's injury and just the potential that this team has, I'm jacked. Juice.
It's amazing. You're in Barcelona and you were there for El Clasico, but you've been there for a while. So Manny is super jealous that you got to see this incredible match. And we'll ask you about that. We'll ask you about that in a second. But we brought you on because you are a diehard Mavs fan. People even consoling you at the Super Bowl about the Mavs trading Luka. But also you are an NBA reporter and writer and amazing video and just a multimedia star. Now you mentioned, you kind of said it tongue in cheek there about, sometimes Adam Silver makes the call. There are a lot of people today, and I'm going to raise my hand as one of them, who thinks this is fishy. It's just a little too good to be true, Master. And I'm not saying that the Mavs fans don't deserve it, but I don't think the Mavs front office deserves it. Even if you think Luka was going to smoke hookah until he was in oblivion.
I started Hookah Doncic. I started Hookah Doncic just to put that out there.
I hope you trademark it. And, they didn't get enough for him in the return, no matter how you slice it, even if you can squint and say that you could understand what they were doing. But there are a lot of people who believe that there was bigger things at play here. You know this market well, the new ownership groups that's there, the casino magnates that they are. If there was a conspiracy theory behind this, which one makes sense to you, if any of them?
I'd never bought into the fact that the team was going to move to Vegas. I truly didn't, because you're talking about $6 or $7 billion on the line for a new expansion team that a new owner would have to pay in order to receive a franchise in Vegas and wherever the additional franchise will be. So you're talking potentially $14 billion that the NBA will make for these additional two franchises. I thought that was absolute nonsense. And I also thought there was a lot of people that don't truly understand the scope and nature of Dallas. The city's grown quite a bit. This isn't the same cowboy hall type of city that people thought back in the day. Like, this is an expansive and robust metroplex that I believe is a top 4 market now, and you talk about the magnet, the size and scope of that media market. Why would you want to lose that for a place that's Vegas is even in the top 10?
Right.
So you're talking about the potential consumer base that already exists. You see the diehardness, the loyalty that the fans have of Dallas. It's a great sports town. Obviously, you see it throughout the Stars playoffs right now, the Rangers World Series, the Wings with Paige Beckers now. Like, I live and breathe Dallas sports. So, don't treat us with no disrespect to a smaller market team that just can lift up their team and move them. So I thought all of that was nonsense. In terms of whether they got the number 1 overall pick because they traded away Luka Doncic and everyone felt bad and they wanted to make the fans happy.
Big shrug.
If that's the reason.
Who's to say?
I had to sit through 3 years of the worst 3-year spell of a team in NBA history during the late 90s. And that's when I decided to become a Mavs fan. We were god-awful. And you have to understand, of the history of the Mavs before Mark Cuban came in, I would pray as a kid that someday that I could have a cult following fan base that had the passion, the loyalty, the love for their team. And the same way you're seeing with the Knicks as they're pouring out of MSG and they're chanting Knicks in 5. Like, I had always hoped that the Mavs could establish in that kind of manner. And now that we have, this isn't new for us. Like, we've been so bad, but this was the first time that we've ever moved up in the NBA lottery. So if anything, this feels like karma and just kind of the scales kind of being in balance for a generational talent for us.
Can I ask you a question you're not going to like, maybe? When you've traveled the country a lot, do you get the sense that there are a lot of out-of-market Mavs fans compared to some other teams who have more national fan bases?
That's a good question. I'm starting to see them a lot more now. I'm shocked because when I do some work with CBS Sports and Golasso Network, there's a guy there that I met that is a Mavs fan, and we were watching the finals run together because I happened to be there during that week, and it was an experience that, again, I never knew existed 20, 30 years ago. But I think with the success of Dirk Nowitzki, that 2011 run, the obsession that people had, obviously, of Luka and Luka Magic, just that era of just you seeing this franchise continue to develop and establish itself from a bottom-tier franchise in the league to one that was respectable in the top 10. And I think this new ownership group, hopefully the desire is that you can have the same jump that the Warriors had when they were obviously in Oracle Arena. And now you see with the championships, the franchise establishment with Steph Curry, the dynasty that they were able to build. And you come around Europe now, and before, everyone would always have Bulls gear to this day because of that dynasty. But now that I take these trips over the last few years to Europe, you're seeing so much more Warriors gear, just generic Warriors logos and brands that people are wearing because of what that Steph Curry Splash Brothers era was able to bring and the joy that it provided globally. And so that's the hope that I would have for the Mavs, that at some point, whether it's through Cooper Flag or through this Anthony Davis situation, that the Mavs can take that next step as well and can be more of a global franchise in the same manner that what the Warriors were able to accomplish, and obviously the Bulls in the 90s.
Master Tesfatian is joining us from Barcelona. He was there going to El Clasico, which is one of the great rivalries in sports globally, but he's the biggest Mavs fan that we know, and also a big Cowboy fan, so I want to get to that as well. But, this is the one difference. That Warriors ownership, they really called their shot. They said, we're light years ahead, and one of the first things they did was they picked Steph Curry over Monte Ellis, which ended up being a really amazing thing. Obviously, the drafts that they had worked out incredibly well. And I do think, as much as I like Mark Jackson and you like Mark Jackson, everybody loves Mark Jackson, but the switch to Kerr obviously was one of the also finishing pieces there. I don't know if I trust this Mavs ownership group yet. They just did this trade for Luka. Like, I can't put him obviously there with the Warriors ownership yet, because I don't fully trust them. And I also don't fully trust their motivation. Yeah, everyone wants to get into pro sports. They're casino people. They want to open up sports betting in Texas because they see dollar signs, and I get it. I don't know if I trust them fully yet. Speaking of trust, Master, your trust of George Pickens working out for the Dallas Cowboys this year, yes, no, what does it look like? What do you think is going to happen with George Pickens?
Real quick to your point, though, because they added Rick Welts, I have a lot more trust in their ability to figure things out. Former Warrior who came from that organization. And as bad as people think Nico is, he actually did a good job of building this roster that was in a terrible spot through Donnie Nelson to get them to the finals. You can dispute the trade all you want to, but he has displayed that he can draft and he can find ways to build a roster. So with those two, I have a lot more confidence and faith that hopefully we can figure something out. But as far as George Pickens, you talk about a team that I had no faith in whatsoever with the Dallas Cowboys. The way things have played out oh my God, it was awful. And in terms of the whole Dak situation playing out last summer, them not spinning, you're moving on from Mike McCarthy, and you're bringing in Schottenheimer, who's kind of been around the league, but no one's really wanted to take a chance on him as a head coach. So I came in this thing thinking, we're screwed. Like, we just traded Luka, or we're going to trade Micah Parsons next and just go ahead and tank as well. But the way this offseason has developed and the moves that they have made, I have a ton of excitement. I feel like it's been capped by George Pickens. I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb on one side and George Pickens on the other. You can think what you want to about Dak, and I do think Dak is a really good quarterback. You got two guys that can create separation. And, all you need is 3-yard slants to these two dudes, and they will find a way to take it to the house. And the level of threat and the danger that they provide, I think, is going to be tremendous for this offense. My only question now is the coach, Schottenheimer. A first-year head coach with a team that obviously the Cowboys are investing more in right now. Defensively, they should be solid. Offensively, they should have enough weapons. The repiecing that offensive line that hopefully can be a mainstay for the next decade. Do you have the coach in place that can put Dak Prescott in this offense in the right situation and being able to deal with, of course, a very competitive NFC East? The Eagles are getting better. The Commanders are getting better. I love what the Giants did. I went to Arizona State, so Bo Scadaboo being there is going to hurt me so much because I love that guy. And having to see him and face against him 2 times a year and seeing him, smash through my Cowboys defenders is going to be really tough to watch. But I like what the Giants are doing right now as well. So this is going to be a very competitive NFC East. And Schottenheimer, unfortunately, he's going to have to prove a lot in year one because there's a lot of pressure on him to display what he's capable of doing immediately.
But Master, we're talking about ownership. Do you think the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl while Jerry's still running the show?
See, that's the difference. Is as much as you don't want to trust the Mavericks ownership, at least they have people in place with experience and have shown that they can do, the job that they're tasked to do. Jerry Jones is a whole different other animal. And unfortunately, Jerry Jones has his ways. He's stuck in his ways. And one of those is, of course, signing guys to contract extensions at the very last minute, which I'm sure a tactic that was perfectly fine 20 years ago because you didn't want to risk the idea of potentially, the player getting hurt and injured, and now you lock them up for the next 2 or 3 years, guaranteed money. But we've seen how much of an impact, especially with the Eagles, that your salary cap can have and how you can develop a roster when you do get those contract extensions done a year in advance and as far in advance as you possibly can. So these sort of things are just like, death by 1,000 paper cuts for this Cowboys team, because the one thing they can do, they can draft. Like this, I thought they had a really good draft here. When you see the Micah Parsons, the CeeDee Lambs, the way they've been able to build the offensive line, getting Dak Prescott as a day 3 quarterback, which I don't think they still get enough credit for, of being able to identify an all-pro, a Pro Bowl quarterback in day 3. Like that, Will McClay and that team does a really, really good job in the draft. It's just, can you contain Jerry? Can Jerry step away from the limelight? We saw this with the Mavericks, as you mentioned with Mark Cuban as well. Mark Cuban was all up in the videos, just like Suge Knight, doing the whole Dairy Queen, getting all the fines and everything. And in 2011, he took a step back and let the team be the team, and they were able to win a championship. Jerry, I hope you're listening to this. and I know you probably won't take my advice because you don't even care what I have to say, but if you could just take a slight step back and just let the team be the team, let the front office do their thing, who knows? Maybe we can win a Super Bowl.
Now I can't get out of my head Mark Cuban somehow holding Donnie Nelson Jr. over a railing by his feet like Suge Knight did to Vanilla Ice back in the day. Something like that. Master Tesfadian is joining us from Barcelona. Huge Mavs and Dallas sports fan and accomplished writer, video, everything, multimedia star. So you are there for El Clasico. For some of us who have never been to Madrid and Barcelona, diehard, bitter rivals, is there something you can compare it to in terms of U.S. sports? Is it like a Super Bowl, more like a Final Four, more like a college football national championship? What's it like? What was the crowd like?
I wouldn't even say national championship game. I was at Ohio State, Notre Dame, and this is more like Michigan, Ohio State. This is Saturday, rivalry Saturday, no matter what you got going on. It doesn't matter what school you went to, whether you like football, whether you don't like college football, whether they have 3 wins or they're both undefeated. You're going to stop your day down for the noon kickoff to watch Ohio State, Michigan. Mm-hmm. And that's the same impact times 10 because we're talking about the entire globe.
Yeah.
Like Barcelona, Real Madrid to me is the biggest sports rivalry in the world. Even going there, I've been to the American versions of them as they do bring them almost every year. As a friendly exhibition but even the passion that you see from those have been great. But I always wanted to check out it in Barcelona or in Madrid. And thankfully to my friends at La Liga, was able to do so, did some content as well there. Been doing a lot more work in the soccer space over the last few years. And this is the beautiful part about this rivalry is I'm doing interviews for BR Football before the match. And I'm talking to people from Mexico, from Qatar, from China, from Germany, from all over the place, Poland, and some people from New York. This is what these two clubs provide, that it's incomparable to anything that happens in American sports. Because you may get some people from Iowa, you may get some people from Maine, you may get the oddball in Oregon, but you're not drawing the whole globe. And it was just a beautiful experience. It was a 7-goal thriller. There were 6 goals in the first half. Madrid went up 2-0. I'm a Madrid fan, so I was pretty happy. And I was sitting next to Danilo Carrera, who I'd never met before, but he's a big-time Latin actor on Univision. And, we were over there just chilling. He's a big Madrid fan as well. We were having a blast. And then Barcelona smashed 4 goals consecutively in like a 30-minute span. And if there's one person you need to know, I don't care if you're a diehard soccer fan, a casual soccer fan, we're all going to be locked in next summer for the Men's World Cup. And there's one name you need to know. It is Lamine Yamal for FC Barcelona. He just won the Euros with the Spain national team. He is 17 years old and is the hottest teenage sensation in the entire planet right now. Know the name, Lamine Yamal.
I'm getting his haircut this summer.
Perloff already has the tattoo. And a place we can't mention.
Double sunglasses.
With the bleach hair. He's bringing that Neymar type of vibe that I remember growing up with in the early ages of YouTube and social media, where you would always see these Neymar clips of Santos and him just doing incredible things on the pitch, but also being cool off of it. Lamine is bringing that feeling back. And thank God, because soccer desperately needed it.
He's legit as a superstar.
Dog, he's the truth, bro. That left foot, man, you better not give him any space because he'll smack that in the back of the net like he did against Madrid and Courtois. And he's just so cool about it. He's been able to beat Madrid now 6 straight times. And again, it's like imagining, obviously, when what was it? Michigan was just on that streak as well, where Ohio State wasn't able to beat them. Like, imagine that again in a global game where everyone in the world's watching you, and you're a teenage sensation, and you've beaten your biggest rival 6 straight times. It's unbelievable. And I hate it as a Madrid fan, but I gotta live with it.
Dude's on a rocket ship. Master, thank you so much for doing this. We know you've been up all night. I mean, just celebrating the Mavs, getting Cooper Flag, getting the #1 pick, which is going to turn into Cooper Flag. We're thrilled for the Mavs fans. The ownership and the front office, not so sure, but we're thrilled for you. Enjoy the rest of your time in Europe, and thank you again. We love watching your content that's coming out of there. Fantastic stuff.
Big fans, you guys. Always love. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. The last time we saw Master, so we did see him at the Super Bowl, but then before that was WrestleMania, and it was in Philadelphia in April, and it was so embarrassing because we were dressed up.
I was wearing a kilt. Yeah. You were wearing spandex.
EJ and I were in singlets. We were paying off a bet.
You looked like an 80s rock star.
People were like... Compliment.
No, it was actually the outfit. EJ, not so much. You look great.
I really worked hard to get myself into that outfit.
No, you
not
you
a
actually,
carb around.
That was not a punishment for it. Started out as a punishment, but then I noticed you were getting into it, and the fact that you wore it the next week to work showed that you were really into that outfit.
You know, did you ever have, and you've had these moments, and I certainly had them, when you're just go out and you're either wearing something or whatever, you're just like, I just pray I don't run into anyone I know.
Oh,
and then we ran into Master and Mike Ryan Ruiz from Levitard's show, and
I'm the opposite. I'll go out to the grocery store wearing pajamas. You guys do this? And you're just like, God, I hope I don't see someone. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
And it happens
no
all the time.
Yeah.
Happens
Sunglasses
all the time.
I'm always like, I feel bad for people.
Are you Maggie? Maggie? Oh, yeah. How many times have you got recognized when you're in that bad outfit?
Maggie Gray?
I start apologizing. I'm like, I'm sorry. I look like I don't know what I'm doing out in public looking like this.
Cap has the picture of you three up in the wrestling outfits right now on the stream.
Yeah, you weren't with us at the time, were you, Manny?
No, I was not. I was not employed, no.
Oh, man, you would have been great for that day. Who would you have dressed up like?
Rey Mysterio.
I figured.
Yeah, of course. I mean, come on.
It would have been really cool.
Viva Mexico.
To have the luchador mask on.
Oh, I mean, I've got 3 of them at the house.
EJ had a mask on for a little bit.
That doesn't surprise me.
It was a great time. Yeah, I guess that was what we'd classify the show as before Manny? BM?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Many BMs.
That little,
didn't come out how I wanted it to.
Yeah.
888-710-4ISN. Appreciate Master Tesfadian. If you can follow him on social media. His social is amazing because he's all over the world.
Is that established that is the greatest worldwide rivalry? Because aren't there other soccer rivalries that are super intense too on a local level?
We'll let Alex go ahead.
The most intense one is Boca Juniors.
Yeah, so I was in Argentina. And
in Argentina, yeah.
There were 100 people with machine guns keeping the fans apart. I'm not lying. There was like half an army there. Wow. That felt a little crazier than...
That's the craziest one in the world, yeah.
See, that's a random. I've been to one international game, and I was like, "What is going on here?"
There's like basically a Champions League for South American teams called Copa Libertadores, and they met in the finals in 2019, I believe. And it got so heated for this because they had to play twice. For the second leg, they literally had to move it out of Argentina, and they had to play in Spain because of how dangerous it got.
Did any of these teams have a guy who is dressing up in a mustache and scouting the other team?
Who, Ted Lasso?
Like Connor Stallion?
Did anybody have a Connor Stallion? Because I'm going to make my case for Michigan, Ohio State. I think that's our best version.
I'm going to defend Mexico, Chivas America, by the way. Very intense rivalry
I was going to say, other places in South America and Mexico, in Central America, what about in like England?
England? Yeah, what about England?
Well, in UK, there's Celtic Rangers, which is the Old Firm Derby, which is Scottish one. Probably the biggest one in England.
Man City, Man United?
That's up there, but I would probably say Liverpool, Man United. I think that's probably the biggest one.
Okay, I'm going to go off a little bit in a different part of Europe, but I always thought that Olympiacos and Panathinaikos was also very big because I've seen multiple fires being set in the stands.
I mean, that's just Greek football.
Yeah, or like Serbia or something like that.
Right. All right, well, that was really cool to check in with Master.
Belgrade. Watch out for them.
From Barcelona, which is...
Dartmouth Brown, my alma mater. When they met on the lacrosse field, watch out.
Hey, and let me tell you something about those Buffalo State Brockport games and the Battle of I-90.
Listen.
In the SUNY.
Then he's so blitzed by the second half, has no idea who won.
It was cold in the games. I couldn't be blitzed.
Europe wishes they had MAC-tion.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Buffalo State's not even in the MAC. That's not even Buffalo.
We're a Division III school.
What do they do on their Wednesday nights if you don't have MAC-tion?
Yeah.
All right, 888-710-4ISN. Let's get back to the main issue at hand. Our question to you. Do you think the NBA draft lottery is rigged? We'll also get to the big injury news from yesterday. It's massive, and we've got details for you next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining.
Remember Bolo Brazil, I grew out of wrestling. I was 12 or 13, I stopped watching TV. I moved out of the house, we sold the TV. I think I went to school and watched less wrestling. Bob Custer in Nevada. 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 Do you remember him, or are you too young? I don't know where he is, but I don't care.
All right, the Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly celebrating all who go above and beyond during Military Appreciation Month. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Our members are the mission. So Manny is in, EJ is out the rest of this week. Manny's picking the Defensive Player of the Week, and he's a diehard Knicks fan. That is why I think, Maggie, he is smarter than that. He's not going to go obvious with the Knicks. I think he's going to go with one of the other series of the NBA.
And that's your guess?
That my guess, so I have to pick a player. I'll go with, McDaniels.
He was awesome last night. What do you have, 20 rebounds or something? 14 rebounds last night, excuse me.
Shutting down Jimmy a little bit. Jaden McDaniels on the T-Wolves.
Okay. Manny may be smarter than that, but his Knicks fandom will get in the way. So it's either OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. Probably it's Bridges.
How about Josh Hart, though? Josh Hart's the hustle guy, I think.
It's going to go Bridges. I think you do a couple combinations of some game in the series. He's kind of been the guy at the end of games.
I feel like Bridges' offense has been the thing. Josh Hart almost broke Jason Tatum's wrist again last night, which was brilliant defensive play.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we got some Tatum news on you for you in just a moment. Injury news, not good. Manny, who is it?
12 steals in 4 games, including the game-winning plays on defense in Game 1 on Jaylen Brown and in Game 2 on Jason Tatum. It is Mikal Bridges, Villanova's finest defensive man. He had 4 steals in yesterday's win. The Knicks lead the Celtics 3-1.
Yeah, don't overthink it, Pearl. This
Come
is like
on,
what
man.
you tell me about draft lottery
that.
conspiracy theories. You're like, what if it's just the ping pong balls? What
I
if
was
it's
literally here last week, and we did this, and EJ also picked Mikal Bridges, and the exact same thing happened. Like, you overthink it.
Yeah, and also, where's the basketball? The Mikal Bridges signed basketball that you had?
Back in the office.
Okay.
Celtics scored 113 points. The Golden State Warriors are scoring 85 points a game, and you're not going to say Dick anything from Minnesota?
It's defensive player, not defensive team of the week.
And there you go.
113 last night.
Yeah.
And 4 steals.
Who was
last
covering
night.
Tatum?
It's a combination of Mikal and OG. We're fine. It'll be OG Anunoby. You happy?
Let's go to Bogusch, who's got headlines for us, and unfortunately, some tough news for Jason Tatum.
We'll begin, though, last night in San Francisco. The third quarter, that was the difference between the Warriors and the T-Wolves.
Here's Ant on the move in the front court. He's up to 25 points. He'll stop and pop. He checked 3. He got it again. Anthony Edwards cannot be stopped.
Alan Horton on T-Wolves radio. Anthony Edwards scoring 16 of his 30 in the third. His team going on a 17-0 run in the period to take control of Game 4 with those Warriors, eventually winning 117-110 for a 3-1 series lead. Game 5 is tomorrow night in Minneapolis, and Steph Curry says he will not be able to return from his hamstring injury. The second half was the difference at MSG last night. The Knicks were down 14 in the third, but rallied to win again, 121-113. They now lead the Celtics 3-1. Jalen Brunson, the star again, with 39 points and 12 assists.
It was a big game for us. Just the way that we responded. It's what I'm most proud of. Sticking together and just making sure we're not quitting.
And
my overmodulated king.
After the win, Brunson, among the many, sending good thoughts to Jason Tatum.
When a player of his caliber goes down and he's rolling in pain like that, you knew something's wrong. So that's why I just gave my thoughts and prayers, because you never want to see something like that ever.
Tatum suffered a seemingly serious lower right leg injury in the final minutes of this game. All the team said last night was that Tatum would get an MRI today.
Man, you know what? Here's the thing. I've declared 2025 the year of the drought buster. Right?
Have you?
Slump busters, drought busters, whatever you want to call them.
Can you remind me who's been busting slumps?
Rory. That was the biggest one. Okay. UConn women also fits. Florida men also fits.
Well,
okay.
Florida men is the one. Florida man, I like Florida man. The
Florida man. A Florida man.
The Dallas Mavericks won the lottery.
Yes.
Slump buster.
Yeah, they've never gotten the number 1 overall. Oh, no, they got it once with Mark Aguirre, I think, right? But they
still,
never moved up.
How many years ago was that? That was a long time ago.
Right. Because the Eagles have won too many things already. So there's.
I hate them.
Yeah, right?
Well, also, too, the Florida Gators men basketball program, nobody was talking about that drought. That's why it's a little off.
It didn't get as much publicity as Rory. But,
yes, because no one on earth cares about Florida men's basketball. And they won in 2007 with Yannick Noah, and that was crazy. But anyway.
Joke him, Noah.
So,
yeah.
What's this one? What was your...
So this would be, I'm just saying, this is unfortunate for Tatum. He was having a great game.
Right.
He wasn't having a great series necessarily, but he was having a good game. And, you don't ever want to see something like this happen, even if you hate Boston or you hate Duke or whatever. You don't want to see it happen for him. But if the Knicks are going to get lucky here, or even the Pacers, you need a little bit of luck to happen.
They were winning this series.
Okay, well, maybe they were, but
They were up 9 points with 2 minutes left and about to go up 3-1.
Okay.
This is not. There's no luck here. This is the better team.
well, now it's possible that they could finish off this series in 5, and then you get a little bit. We'll see what happens with the Pacers and the Cavs series.
Probably
but
also finish it off in 5.
maybe, but at least you're not going 7 like you did with the Pistons in the last round, so you're completely out of gas. Tom Thibodeau only played his starting 5 in the whole entire third quarter last night. The minutes are still a thing. So this could help them. I was just saying, you get, if Tatum was still healthy, maybe this does go 7 games, maybe at least,
So wait, of the teams that are alive in the NBA, who qualifies as a drought buster? The Knicks are at least 70.
The Pacers, definitely.
Pacers have, but is it a drought? They've never won, right?
Well, it's a little different than a first timer. So yeah, it doesn't exactly fit the mold, but
Thunder, obviously.
Yeah, the Thunder never won, right?
Right. So the never won.
They've been in the finals.
And the Timberwolves.
Minnesota. They've never even been to a finals, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
So is that
I think everyone's alive. It is a little different when it's a first time, right? It's like it's a just different calculus as opposed to a drought buster.
We're not calling the Warriors drought busters, are we?
Well, Warriors, I don't think they're going to win.
They're done.
All right. Just wanted to clear that up.
No, they wouldn't be. Winning in 2022.
They did come back from a 3-1 series before, so, I mean, you never know.
Well, we're just assuming Bogusch just said Curry's not looking good.
Yeah, for some reason, Jimmy Butler's not playoff Jimmy or even close to it.
Shocker. Wow, Jimmy Butler, not him. Huh, what a
Well,
concept.
it wasn't that long ago that he was in the finals carrying a team. That didn't happen a decade ago. It was like 3 years ago.
Jimmy's trying to play in that Warriors system, trying to get everyone involved. Like he's doing a pretty good job of it. I mean, Kuminga's a revelation. It's unbelievable how good that guy is. Like, what was happening? Again, I get back to last night. He was incredible again. Why was Steve Kerr not playing this guy 40 minutes a game?
I mean, I think technically, too, I could squint and see Ohio State as also being part of the drought busters because for them, yes, they've won in the 2000s, but it had been a while. Cardell Jones.
14, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, Rory hadn't won a major.
But again, did we say, oh my God, Ohio State finally broke their drought? It wasn't really. If they beat Michigan, then that would be a drought buster next year.
Yeah, next year. Well, we'll see. Back to you, Bogusch.
Watching Tatum's injury for the umpteenth time on TV while you're talking.
Yeah.
Can you guys remember somebody being in that much pain over a presumed Achilles? I feel like a lot of guys, when it's Achilles, they just kind of sit there and they're just pissed because they know what it is right away. But he was doing snow angels of pain on the court last night. Pounding the court. His leg was kicking the court at one time. Maybe that was still, he knew what it was, and that was also anger, not pain.
You're implying it might be something else?
No, I don't know. It was just visibly more painful than other apparent Achilles injuries.
Maybe he broke his ankle.
In my mind.
Maybe he broke the bone.
I don't know. Yeah, or something more than that or what. But it just, he was, or I mean, some guys also just handle pain differently, but he was, writhing in pain does not describe what he was doing last night.
I mean, this is jumping ahead, but it does seem like what was potentially a little Boston dynasty now seems very much threatened. We might. It's amazing the one and done nature of NBA champions. Something's going on here. Maybe it's the lottery being fixed. Is evening out the odds.
Let's get back to that.
Yeah,
sorry, Bogusch.
Speaking of that lottery, Cooper Flagg is on his way to Dallas after the Mavs, air quotes, won the draft lottery in a stunner.
Anyone notice his body language when he got
Not
picked?
super excited.
No.
But what's he supposed to do? He can't, because he's going to be humble. The draft wasn't last night. The draft lottery was last night.
Yeah, I don't know if that's where I'm curious if that's where he wants to go. I have no idea.
Maybe he wanted to go
from
to DC.
Maine, played a little bit in Florida, and went to Duke. I'm not sure.
Maybe he's just not that exuberant of a guy. I think it's probably smart to be humble in that moment.
Right. I'm curious. If you were Cooper Flagg, where would you have wanted to go? Maybe San Antonio with Wemby would be a better choice, but I don't know. Yeah.
No matter what, it's the largest jump in lottery history, 10 spots to number 1 for Dallas. The Spurs and Sixers completing the top 3, then the Hornets, Jazz, and Wizards, the 3 teams with the best odds at number 1 last night. Alex Ovechkin and his top-seeded Capitals are in trouble. A 5-2 loss in Carolina means trailing the Hurricanes 3-1. The Oilers took a 3-1 lead by shutting out Vegas, 3-0 in Edmonton, 23 saves for Stuart Skinner. The San Diego Padres were 3 outs away from a win over the Angels.
Here's the 2-2, and Taylor Ward swings at that one and lifts a ball high and deep down the left field side, and that ball is out of here.
That is a grand slam for Taylor Ward.
A tie-breaking grand slam, top 9, capping off a 6-run inning called by Terry Smith on Angels Radio. The Halos a 9-5 win in San Diego. Arizona won in San Francisco 2-1, and the Cardinals won in Philadelphia 3-2, pushing their win streak to 9 games.
Not bad.
Browns linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah will not play the coming season because of the neck injury he suffered last year that cost him the final 9 games of that campaign. He went on the PUP list yesterday, which takes him out of play for the entire season. But again, the hope is that he can play as soon as 2026.
Right, they drafted his replacement, right? They said that on draft night, like he was done already.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to play. They were like, they said all of the usual things, but, hopefully his life is okay.
Oh, yeah. It's football.
Yeah. Finally, far from all of that, the infamous Chiefsaholic sentenced to 32 years in jail in Oklahoma yesterday for a bank robbery in that state. He will serve that sentence concurrently with his 17-year federal sentence for his string of bank robberies.
I wonder how he got to all those games.
I didn't even know you could get that much jail time for a bank robbery. I know he was armed. It's
many though, right?
Yeah, very, very serious crimes. That's a long 30-plus years on top of basically 17 years.
How many banks did he rob?
Well, this one, if I'm reading it correctly, like Oklahoma, he was caught in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma decided to do its own thing on top of the federal case because he had, I guess, crossed state lines.
Yeah.
And so, like, they were like, we want our own justice. And he's getting 32 years for the last bank robbery, which happened in Oklahoma. The federal sentence is for all of them, which I think is like 7 or 8, maybe more than that, over like a 3-year span. So
I'm not surprised. I thought you went to jail for life for robbing banks with a gun.
They want to just put him in jail for life.
Yeah.
No, it's a really serious thing. It's also in a weird way kind of feels like a throwback, robbing a bank. When you think about fraud now, it all feels like it's online, like online hackers, theft, dark web, trying to get into your accounts, your social security number, stuff like that. To just walk into a bank with a gun feels like it's out of a different time zone, time era.
1930s type stuff.
Or at least the 80s.
I was just reading a book about bank robberies. So Malcolm Gladwell's new Tipping Point sequel, the first 100 pages are about trends in bank robberies. So it comes and goes. In the 50s, it was big. In the 90s, it was huge. And I think sometime this millennium, there was a little bit of a renaissance.
Why?
Renaissance.
I have not finished the chapter yet. He said that these people see other bank robbers and how easy it is, and they adjust accordingly. But all the bank robbers in his chapter went to prison for life.
I was going to say, does this guy think he was good at this? Like he's never going to be outside, or he's never going to be a free man again.
Never going to see Patrick Mahomes.
Wait, that guy is crazy. Has anyone watched the documentary?
No.
He's out of his mind. But there was a gang in L.A. who robbed, I think, 300 banks.
Oh, my God.
They were associated with the Crips.
Oof. And Gladwell writes about them?
Yeah, he writes about all the different things they use. Apparently, it's easier to rob a bank without a gun. Like, not easier, but it's more effective because you won't go to prison for life.
I got it. So you'll probably get arrested.
If you're thinking about it, yeah, don't bring a gun and just pretend you have a gun. Be like, that guy over there has a gun.
Oh, like in your pocket? Like through the coat pocket?
It's even more effective if you pretend your accomplice has a gun. So
send them to, got it.
Just be like, that guy's going to kill that teller.
Look, she's typing now.
I was actually just...
Write that down.
Excuse me. I was actually thinking about a very funny, not to take it to, this is very serious, but it reminded me of the movie Quick Change. Have you guys ever seen this one? It's Bill Murray and Randy Quaid.
No, I haven't.
And they rob a bank dressed as a clown.
Yeah.
So he's in full clown makeup. And then they're trying to get out of New York City and they can't get out and blah, blah, blah.
Is that one of the worst movies ever made?
Hey.
No, I'm serious. Like,
not to me.
Got to be up there with Caddyshack 2 among the worst.
Hey, you haven't even seen it.
Was there a quick change too? Quicker change? No.
Thankfully, no.
Because you would have loved it.
Gina Davis is in it, Randy Quaid, and Bill Murray. Guys.
Oh, yeah, Gina Quaid.
Nope.
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
Sure.
I mean, you got...
Danny, you've seen League of Their Own.
Yes, I'm familiar with League of Their Own, yes.
Okay.
I had to think about it for a second. I haven't seen it in like a decade and a half, though.
She's Dottie.
Oh, I understand what's happening.
Listen, you got 2 out of those 3 are strong. I'm obviously thinking about one weak link in that group.
Don't do it. You know I love Randy Quaid.
I know you do.
He's a weirdo in real life, but as an actor, I'm really behind him. 888-710-4ISN.
It's about the craft.
888-710-4. Who doesn't love Cousin Eddie? The bleeper's full.
He was.
It's on
great.
T-shirts now.
He was great in Vacation, and then it went sideways.
No, Kingpin was still good.
He was great in Kingpin.
Yeah, but generally,
Weirdly,
though,
the straight man. But
yeah, he was the Amish guy. Yeah, his career has not gone the way he probably wanted.
Well,
to.
that's
Don't
because
have a cow.
He's a little crazy in real life, but also pretty brilliant. Anyway, on screen, 888-710-4ISN. I can't vouch for anything he does off the screen. 888-710-4476. We get back to the draft lottery, asking you a question today on X. Do you think it's rigged? The Mavericks win. They get Cooper Flagg right after they traded away Luka Doncic. Did this feel a little fishy to you? It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie Perloff Show. All right, so we put a poll question out here on X. Simple. Do you think the NBA draft lottery is rigged? 73% of you are saying yes, and we're coming off of last night where the Dallas Mavericks had a 1.8% chance to get the number one pick. Just did this blockbuster / really criticized trade away of their star Luka Doncic. Now they get to replenish the tank, if you will, with a presumptive number one pick, Cooper Flagg. Now, Perloff is not buying any of this. You never have. You've been very steadfast. You think ping pong balls land where they land, and all of this is a waste of time.
I mean, I know a lot of NBA reporters who they've let back there, and they said, oh, yeah, it's just ping pong balls.
Right. So I have a question for you. So a couple things. Like, I believe that the Cavaliers getting LeBron James was not an accident.
Okay.
So if I'm going to believe that,
right,
then I kind of have to believe that the NBA may be capable of anything, right?
Okay.
Which kind of leads you down these rabbit holes. You don't think the draft is rigged. What if next year, AJ DiBatanza, I'm going to try to pronounce his name, what if he ends up as a member of the Utah Jazz, someone who is from Massachusetts originally,
right,
high school phenom, now at BYU for a year,
right,
came to Utah to go to high school, staying in state to go to BYU. If somehow the Jazz get the number one pick next year, then will you finally believe?
The Jazz will probably be the worst team in the league, right, again. So they'll probably have a 14% chance.
Like they did this year.
Right.
And if they finally get it next year, will you say, will it be any part of your brain who's been staunchly, nothing is fixed, this is just the ping pong balls?
Nope.
I will never be able to convince you.
No, because maybe back in the LeBron days 20 years ago, maybe they did something, but no, I think there's too much going on now. I don't think they can get away with it. But let me ask a cattle question.
Yes.
How many teams are in the lottery? 14?
Yeah.
Is there a single team out of the 14 where you would say it was not fixed? Was there a team last night that could have won where you would have said this isn't fixed?
I think that if somehow Charlotte had won, I guess new ownership group, so maybe you could make a connected dot there.
Probably want a new arena. I don't know.
I don't know. But, I mean, they never gave Michael Jordan a number one overall pick, right? So I don't know. But
then again, do you honestly think you would have come in here and said, oh, this wasn't fixed, it was Charlotte?
I mean, that's a fair point. I kind of do see a connection. This Mavs one, though, does feel a little fishy. Will you grant that, or are you not even willing to grant that?
Not for a second, because, again, like you say, if you give LeBron a thing, you're saying that Tim Bontemps and Chris Mannix and every Dave McMenamin, I saw the ball. They all said there's no way this is fixed. You're saying they're all wrong.
So I'm not saying that they're wrong, and I'm not. So
what?
Here's the thing: they go into a room, right, and they see the ping pong balls getting picked, right. I think that there is. I don't know how to. I think there is a way to predetermine this, how. I think that there is a way, perhaps, to manipulate the ping pong balls. I don't know.
That seems a little tricky, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
also too, like if okay,
I don't think the reporters are in on it. I'll give you that. Like, I don't think there's why would Chris Mannix hold the NBA secrets?
Well, I'm just saying. So if you let me ask this question: if you think that Mannix and McMenamin and Windhorst and all the established NBA writers are wrong about this, then why would you listen to the NBA writers about anything? Because this is a big one to be totally wrong about, because they're all steadfast this ain't fixed.
Yeah, I can't. I just need someone to explain that LeBron James draft to me. I just cannot believe. And by the way, you want to know who else thinks that draft was rigged? LeBron.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
So what does LeBron know?
Well,
LeBron has theories. He's just like you.
I believe
LeBron is us. LeBron is a sports dad who watches football all day.
It's just that was too perfect. It was for that guy to be the hometown team of the Cavs. It just I'll never be able to get past it. And I do think that there are some connections here with the Mavs. New ownership and the fact that they basically gave them a fresh start now with Cooper Flagg. After this disastrous Doncic trade, which even again, if you think Luka's a fat slob and is never going to realize his potential, I'll disagree with you. But they should, they clearly didn't get enough in return from the Lakers. So there's no way that trade is ever going to be looked at as good.
So many different phrases.
Now, that was LeBron lying about seeing The Godfather. But now you get Cooper Flagg. All's forgiven, forgotten. It's weird to me.
So, but okay, let's just define the terms. You're pretty convinced that it was fixed.
I'm pretty convinced that there was a concerted effort to get that number 1 pick to Dallas.
Meaning fixed.
Well,
I don't understand. There was a concerted effort, that's fixed. I feel like I'm interviewing an oil executive on CBS. The way you're talking around this.
Concerted effort to get that pick to Dallas. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Lots more to do, including some NFL news for you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Wake up, it plays that daily dose of take so bold they might just roast. From sports hot drama to a GOAT debate, we're tuning in, it's never second rate. And who's in the chat? We see you shine, dropping takes that toe the line. For swinging that sword, dropping truth bombs we can't ignore. Chocolate thunder, free throws, got the vibe, drop the fire so smooth it's a whole new tribe. LPW brings the stats real clean, breaking it down like a football machine. California native got that West Coast flair, sunny takes with that laid-back stare. Jay and Nashville holds it down each day, Southern charm with a bold wordplay. Wake up, hit plays that daily dose of takes so bold they might just roast. From sports hot drama to a GOAT debate. We're tuning in, it's never second rate. And who's in the chat? We see you shot, we see you. Who's in the chat? We second rate. And who's in the chat? We see you shot, dropping, takes that jumping, takes that toe the line. And who's in the chat? We see you shine, dropping, takes that toe the line. For swinging that sword, dropping truth bombs we can't ignore. Chocolate thunder, 3 throws, got the vibe, dropping fire so smooth it's a whole new tribe. LT Gutty brings the stats real clean, breaking it down like a football machine. California native got that West Coast flair, Sunny takes with that laid-back stare. Jay in Nashville holds it down each day, Southern charm with the bold wordplay. Oh wait, who's missing? Check the log. No Peter Bellotti, he ghosted the job, clocked out early or slept through the show. Come on, Pete, man, where did you go? Thinking Peter Bellotti? Yeah, the stream started 30 minutes ago, buddy. Funnel Peterburg's here and Thunder's in stride. LT's got plays and Cali's got pride. Jay's dropping heat from the Music City floor, but Bellotti still next to a lock in the door. So shout out the crew, you're the heartbeat, no lie. Without y'all in the chat, the takes run dry. But Peter, come back, we'll save you a seat. Just don't be late, oh Maggie's bringing the heat. Or swinging that sword, dropping truth bombs we can't ignore. Chocolate thunder, 3 throws, got the vibe, dropping fire so smooth it's a whole new tribe. LT Gutty brings the stats real clean, breaking it down like a football machine. California native got that West Coast flair, Sunny takes with that laid-back stare. Jay in Nashville holds it down each day, Southern charm with the bold wordplay. No wait, who's missing? Check the log. No Peter Bellotti, he ghosted the job, clocked out early or slept through the show. Come on, Pete, man, where did you go? Agent Peter Bellotti, yeah, the stream started 30 minutes ago, buddy.
On the Infinity Sports Network.
Crazy night last night. We should have known we were in for something bananas when the NBA draft lottery kicked us off before 2 crazy NBA games, and the Dallas Mavericks, Perloff, the Mavs, the center of the NBA universe for a lot of the season because of the disastrous Luka Doncic trade to LA. The fans are have a backlash. They're protesting in the street. All of a sudden, it's like the sky opens up and Cooper Flagg, what we think is a generational NBA talent, lands right in their lap. To me, it felt all a little fishy.
You know, say I do buy your NBA lottery is a bit rigged. I think the Mavs is not the best place to put it because the NBA they're gonna lose LeBron in a year, right? I mean, I just can't see the Mavs being the team that everyone is tuning in for. You need like a Jordan Bulls or a Warriors or a LeBron Cavs. Like nobody's ever said, "Oh my God, I can't wait to watch the Mavs."
Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, I think they did get a pretty big following during the Dirk years.
The NBA was tanking in ratings when those years.
But Mark Cuban became a household name because he was the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. I do think that there could be something there. We had Master Tesfatzian on earlier, who is a huge Mavericks fan. He was joining us from Barcelona, which was cool. But he said Rick Welts, who is the former Warriors CEO, is in the front office now. They are maybe trying to replicate something that is Warriors-like. Now, can anyone have a dynasty anymore? I don't know. But let's put that aside. Can we just talk about what's in front of our faces right now? Somehow, the Mavs get rewarded with this number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, it's called a ping pong ball.
It's mind-blowing to me. See, I don't think that is a coincidence.
See, I think it is because the NBA does have, they signed this multi-billion-dollar TV deal. They need big ratings. Like last year, the Mavs were in the finals and the ratings were awful. Like they know how this game works. They need some pizzazz. I wouldn't have sent Cooper Flagg to Dallas. I would have sent him somewhere else. I would have sent him to San Antonio. You need that team to be it. If you want to get back up to $25 million a game for NBA Finals, you need an it team. It's not going to be the Mavs.
See, I think there's more at play here than just television ratings, right? I think that TV ratings for the NFL are obviously no one's going to touch them. But I do think that there's more at play here when it comes to the NBA. And I do think that having this particular new ownership group and the fact that they are casino magnets and the fact that they, I think, have some really big plans about how they are going to, influence or try to influence sports betting in the state of Texas. I think there's just more at play here, Pearl, than TV ratings. You can't just do everything on TV ratings.
Well, I mean, listen, you can say that about everyone.
The NBA, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the NBA just also sold a lot of their rights to streaming services, which is not part of ratings at all.
Right, but I think the NBA needs to satisfy those customers, and they need an it team. And maybe it'll be Dallas, but I really don't see, because of the age of their stars that are there now, I think it's going to be hard to put that together. The other thing, too, is they're buried in the West. Every owner in the top 10 has these massive plans. I mean, I could go through the list. You have Dallas. San Antonio, obviously, is building a dynasty. The Sixers I don't even know what they are. Are they trying to build that downtown stadium? I can't even remember. It's my team. Utah, obviously, Ryan Smith is the hot owner. He's the it guy. Washington's building a new arena. New Orleans needs something. Like, are they just going to get rid of that team? What's happening there?
They just got Zion, though, right? Like
he's leaving, though, I assume.
Well, we don't know, but they have gotten rewarded. They got Anthony Davis before that.
The NBA, if they really could fix this lottery, they're telling me they want a completely irrelevant Brooklyn team for the next decade?
Well, I think Brooklyn, they believe because Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving just chose to go there out of kind of the clear blue sky, they feel like the pull maybe of New York would be enough for a free agent. Like Giannis might want to get traded there or something like that.
They might have 15 years of non-play. Like they might not be relevant again for a long, long, long time.
Well, it's possible. I mean, I'm just saying that there were multiple theories that were going around last night, and I don't think all of them are that crazy. I don't. $1 billion industry.
So
that I saw that got a lot of attention was the idea that this is all really about the Lakers. So it starts with the Lakers, who need a star when LeBron James winds it down. I don't know if Bronny's taking the torch. And so the Luka Doncic trade was sort of hey, let's get a star to the Lakers. Maybe you fell out of love with him anyway. It's possible that they still thought that Luka was unmotivated and body was not ever going to be in shape and all of that. So willing to offload a star to the Lakers with the sort of idea that, hey, we're going to replenish the cupboard for you with Cooper Flagg. That's the big theory I saw online last night.
Right, but again, to make that actual conspiracy, like let's talk in real world terms.
Sure.
That means that somebody got to Nico Harrison, the Mavs owner, and GM, and said, hey, if you trade Luka to the Lakers, we're going to get you the number 1 overall pick.
I don't think it was Nico. I'm sorry. I think it goes higher than that.
But
I think it goes to the ownership.
So you think the owners made that Luka trade when it was seemed to be, so all the narrative about Nico and his relationship with Anthony Davis, that was all false. It was really the owner who pushed this deal.
No, I think it's convenient, and I think it was easy to sell. Like, it's easy to talk glowingly about someone who you do have a relationship with. I think that there's no GM, I think, in history who not just trading Luka, but for the little return that they got back, right? Like, everyone said, you got fleeced, you got hosed. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. You know, nobody thought that was a good trade from a GM's perspective. Why would he have made it?
The month that we spent talking about Nico Harrison was a waste of time. It really was not. None of that was on him.
You know, we talk about this sometimes, like in the NFL with Shedeur Sanders. Do we think Jimmy Haslam, the owner, stepped in? Like, you are familiar with the idea that owners can step in here and Bigfoot GMs.
So why did we waste so much time talking about Nico Harrison? And why is the entire country obsessed with that guy? It was all fake?
Well, he has to take the sort of slings and arrows, if you will, because first of all, ownership has to sign off on those trades. You know, Nico Harrison doesn't have unilateral power in the Mavericks. Like, you have to get ownership approval there. So it went all the way up to the highest rungs. Maybe we just had it wrong. It wasn't Nico up. Maybe it was ownership down. And that's how you keep a secret.
Maybe it was Nico who clearly didn't like Luka. Okay. So that's interesting. Now I feel like a fool because I thought Nico Harrison was a bad GM. Little did I know.
Maybe both things could be true. I said maybe they fell out of love with Luka and this opportunity presented itself. Like, maybe there was a thought of, hey, you know what? We really don't want to commit long term. Yeah. It's going to be the Supermax contract. We don't want to do that. We'd rather, start over with Cooper Flagg.
The level of competence it would take to pull this heist off, to me, is like, I never worked at the NBA. I worked at the NFL. And the idea that the NFL was rigged seems ridiculous to me. Yeah, the cafeteria was rigged, but it is not a, airtight ship over there at the NFL. And the NFL is by 100-fold the most successful league in America. NFL franchises keep going up and up and up. The idea that the NBA could pull off all this, and yet everything else, like it just doesn't fit to me.
I think there is something, we're talking about the Mavs, obviously, getting the number 1 pick last night in the draft lottery. I think there is something about the NBA that specifically their sport somehow lends itself to theories like this. And I think there's a couple data points. One, starting off with Patrick Ewing in the frozen envelope, going back to the 80s. I think LeBron going to the Cavs is just how he's sitting right there in Akron, Ohio, and goes to the Cavaliers. They magically get the number 1 pick in 2003, and LeBron
it's
goes
a
there.
lottery, so somebody had to get it, right?
Right. Okay. So you think there's no coincidence?
What were their
there?
odds, actually?
And then it's like we know that the league has stepped in other instances. It's such rare circumstances that they would nix a trade of Chris Paul to the Lakers. I think they stepped in on the Donaghy scandal.
Right, the Chris Paul one proves that there's no fixing because if the league had its druthers, of course they would want Chris Paul and the Lakers.
I think
because you said the whole thing was about getting Luka to the Lakers, so the two are in the exact opposite direction of each other.
So you got to stay with me here. I think that there are different priorities at different times, right? Kobe was still with the Lakers at that point. They end up getting Pau Gasol. Phil Jackson comes back. They end up winning more titles. I think that you had at that point maybe a franchise on the brink, which could have been the Hornets, and that's why the NBA had to take it over. They had to make sure that things were stable at that time. Therefore, nixing a trade. One rule doesn't apply for 30 years. You know, Patrick Ewing getting to the Knicks in 1980 in the mid-'80s needed to happen then, and I think that Cooper Flagg going to the Mavs had to happen now. And you know,
it kind of sounds like, or it's just random.
So can I also just say when I say these things about the draft lottery being rigged, I realize I'm like basically accusing people of like, you know, some very treacherous things, right, and illegal.
Yep, sounds that way.
Okay, can I also say that I commend them for it because we just saw the NBA sign a massive media deal. Whoever wants to say the NBA is dead, you're wrong. You're wrong. And if you're only using NBA TV ratings and comparing them to the NFL, you're not looking at what's really going on, which is having live sports and live rights is everything right now in media. So they sell to streaming services. The NBC is getting back on it. Michael Jordan is coming back to be a special contributor to NBC. And there's just more to the story than TV ratings. And people thought that the NBA was like in this terrible position because we complain about it so much. But, you know, to be honest, it's a pretty healthy league. And so to me, I actually commend, if this is going on with lotteries being rigged, I commend them for it. Because clearly they are doing something right. They can't help what the NFL does. The NFL comes for Christmas, all that stuff. We're obsessed with football in this country. But they not leaving fewer things to chance, to me, is a sign of strong leadership. I think David Stern did it, and I think that Adam Silver's doing it.
So you think that they definitely committed a crime last night?
I think they would say it's not a crime, it's their business, and that they can manipulate this. But yeah, no, I it's weird to cavalierly.
No, I think that's a crime.
It would be. I mean, you have to be on the level. But do I think they got involved in the Tim Donaghy scandal, which there could have been elements there of criminal activity? Yeah, probably.
By the way, Cavs had I think a 22.5 chance to get LeBron. So they had as good a chance as anybody.
Okay, well, one's got 22, one's got 1.8. Last night the Mavs had a 1.8 chance.
Well, that could explain the LeBron thing, that they actually had pretty good odds. Especially compared to last night. Well, let me ask you another question. Yeah. Besides do you think that they need to get rid of this lottery and go back to the old way? Because that sure seems like a problem because they're losing about a third of the league.
The problem, it's not working. And you have teams who are tanking harder than ever, even though the lottery odds are flat, and they're not getting they're not getting a sure thing, and they're still tanking and coming up with creative ways to tank. I mean, do you watch a Utah game this year? They're playing guys up until the fourth quarter. I mean, Toronto was taking guys out. Games they're competitive in, just taking dudes out in the fourth quarter who are fully healthy just to sit them down.
Also,
it's an abomination.
If they are actually fixing this, they got to get some talent into the East because the West is ridiculous. I don't know how are any of these teams going to get it past each other. There's so many good young teams. Houston, San Antonio, Minnesota, Dallas now. The Lakers have Luka. I guess the Clippers are getting old, but generally the Warriors might redefine. It's ridiculous. You're going to have to get 50 wins to get in the play-in in the West, and you can be 30 and 48 or whatever and get it in the East.
I know. We've seen this before, though. It's been that lopsided in years past. I think
this will be way worse than ever before, I think.
If you really want to put my tinfoil hat on, I think the league probably doesn't mind it as much because the Knicks are good.
Well, no, but the Knicks haven't been good though. I think the league
now they are.
The league would mind it though because there are more viewers to the east of the Mississippi than to the west. And it's also later in the west. I think this cannot be by design. There's no way they would have non-parity between the conferences.
I'm sorry about that. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Well, there actually is a fix for that. Just get rid of the Eastern-Western Conference when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they want to do that. It's been proposed a lot.
It's funny because they mess around with other things. It seems like every league is open to trying new stuff. Hell, look at baseball. I mean,
hockey just changed their format. I know, like the NBA definitely should do that.
Let's go to Dave. He's in Calgary. Dave, what do you think about last night's draft lottery?
Well, as a Raptors fan, there's a reason me and my brothers called David Stern, rest his soul, Corleone, because I don't think the NBA is fixed, but I think I like your comment that they assert themselves in certain places. So the Raptors, they've only ever had one first overall draft pick, and if you recall when the Raptors and the Grizzlies came into the league, they weren't allowed to have a first overall or like even a top 5 pick for the first 3 or 4 years, and it kind of set both teams off on the wrong foot. Grizzlies don't even. I mean, they're in Memphis now. So yeah, I think that there's influence. LeBron was further evidence to me of that, and I don't know what the angle is. I don't know what all the backroom conversations are in the Corleone family, but I think that there's probably an angle for it.
Yeah, Dave, here's the thing.
One more comment if I can.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say if 2025 is the year of breaking streaks,
yep.
Maybe this can be the year that the Toronto Blue Jays win a playoff game. Not a series, a playoff game. They haven't won one since 2016. I've kind of lost count, but it's no later than 2017. So
I thought you were going to say like 1993. 2016?
Yeah,
what are you complaining about, dude?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking a game. And they need to fire the whole front office. Atkins, Shapiro, fire them all.
Dave, thank you for the call. I would have bet my life where Dave was going with that call because he's calling from Calgary that he's talking about a Canadian team finally winning the Cup. That would be an all-time drought buster. It's been since 93.
Yeah, I mean, well, Toronto would be the all-time drought buster, too.
Well, that's going even back further, obviously way further back. But
So are you, since it's your claim it's your drought buster, are you rooting hard for the droughts? Also, too, are the Hurricanes a drought buster? I was thinking about that. I looked up what they won in 2006. Is that because were we talking about, we came in this draft to be like, man, this would be incredible if Carolina could break that long drought.
Well, maybe people in Carolina were talking about that.
I don't even think they were talking about it.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So got a lot on the table for you today. Do you believe the draft lottery is rigged? And we've got some NFL news for you. So the schedule stuff is leaking out here a little bit here and there. We'll tell you the best games so far that we believe are on the schedule and which team should be getting more buzz when it comes to the NFL.
Giants-Bears is going to be electric.
Was that in my ear or over the air? It's one of those with Manny. I'm not sure.
And we've got a lot more to do on the Maggie and Perloff Show. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. You hear the music, that means there is something up with the Dallas Cowboys. What do we got, Maggie?
Okay, couple things. Well, Dallas, kind of the center of the sports world because they got the rights to draft Cooper Flagg last night. Won the draft lottery.
Aren't there 8 teams still alive in the NBA playoffs? Are they the center of the sports world?
Not really. Not really. business moves fast, Pearl, and Cooper Flagg is thought to be a generational talent. So while that's going on in Mavericks land, we would not forget about the Cowboys. Here's Jerry Jones talking about George Pickens. Says he's not just a number 2 receiver to CeeDee Lamb. He's much more than that.
Well, first of all, we look at him, it's just 2 starting receivers out there. We don't necessarily even think we take him as more than a 2 when we were looking at the deal. Certainly we looked at the draft, in terms of scratching an itch, seeing what might be available there in the draft. But here you get a guy who's got experience, who's had great success in the NFL.
That was on the Adam Shine show. So more from Stephen Jones. Says Pickens reminds him of another very famous Dallas Cowboys receiver.
Obviously a tremendous competitor. He reminds a lot in our building of Dez Bryant in terms of, his competitiveness and, what he brings to the field, his edge.
Okay, so there you go. A Dez Bryant comparison.
Was that good or bad? I'm a little confused here. His edge.
Dez did lead the league in touchdown receptions one year.
Competitive.
And,
George Pickens was late for a game. What the heck is he talking about?
Well, they're hoping that he maybe gets a little more of that competitive.
Competitive, like when the ball's in the air, I guess he's meaning, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because
being late to the stadium is definitely a thing.
Well, I think, listen, Dez was a behavioral problem. Everyone knew that. That was well documented. The Cowboys had a lot to deal with there, so he's that's a funny comparison to me to just go out and say it. But by the way, Dez is awesome now. He's so cool on Twitter. I just think that was interesting. I've been thinking a lot about this trade. They offered a 4th round pick reportedly before the draft. Like, they do not see this guy as a number 1 receiver. The Cowboys don't. The NFL doesn't. Nobody does.
I think with the rosiest colored glasses of the most motivated, hanging and dangling the carrot out of the big contract, that's when you hope he finally steps into what we thought we were going to get coming out of Georgia. I mean, here's the other part about Pickens. There are moments when he does make these jaw-dropping catches. Like, you can see contested on the sidelines. Like, how'd he come down with that? He is capable of wowing us. And the fact now that CeeDee Lamb is not going to get double covered, that's for sure.
But you heard him right there. If Tedero and McMillan had fallen to 12, they were not taking George Pickens. So even they don't value him that much. I don't. Obviously, they traded a 3rd-round pick. It's going to be very interesting. I think people are, again, I am of the camp that this is very risky. Like, this could end up bad because, let's face it, the Cowboys, even with George Pickens, they're the 3rd best team in that division. So if they're not great, can't you see this all becoming a toxic stew with all the hype there?
That is your Cowboy Quickie for today. Day really belongs to the Mavs, though.
And it really doesn't.
Well, the Mavs fans, they deserve this. I don't know if the front office and the ownership necessarily deserve to have Cooper Flagg land out of the clear blue sky right in their laps.
I mean, you say the day belongs to them. They didn't do anything. I mean, they just had the luck go that way.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good for Mavs fans because to watch them tortured in the way that they were after the Luka trade was, they didn't deserve that. Well, like, they are a good fan base and they deserve good things to happen to them. But I don't think the front office and ownership really deserve to have good things to happen to them.
But the day belongs to the Knicks. The day belongs to the Timberwolves. Those guys, they should be getting all the flowers today, not the Mavs. You know what I mean? Like, the Mavs didn't do anything. And by the way, it's 2025. I've never celebrated a team the day after they won the lottery. Like, the day belongs to Orlando. Like, that's not like a thing we do usually.
Well, there's a couple draft lotteries that I think really impact the league. And a lot of people think this could be one of them. No, Zachary Risacher last year wasn't one of them, but Zion was, and Wemby was, and LeBron was, and Patrick Ewing in 1985 was. Like, there are some lotteries that are much different.
San Antonio definitely was. I don't quite see Cooper in that category as Wemby.
So can I give you maybe an analogy that you could see Cooper Flagg now, presumably with the Dallas Mavericks, what it could be? Because Anthony Davis over 30, Kyrie Irving over 30. Is this possible? It's not going to be nearly as successful, I don't think, because I don't know if there's any time. But it's a little like what happened with San Antonio when you still had Duncan and Manu and you still had Tony Parker, and then Kawhi comes into the mix. Now, Kawhi wasn't the number 1 overall pick. He was, San Diego State and ended up being this amazing player. But it's kind of like you had this core that was getting older. Now, I know Davis and Kyrie haven't been together that long at all. But you have these older guys who kind of have won and maybe understand that championship pedigree. And then you get this infusion of this younger guy who kind of comes in. Like Kawhi was a finals MVP for the Spurs. and you extend, the shelf life of the older guys because you get this young infusion of a superstar.
That Spurs core won 3 titles together.
I get it's not a perfect
This Mavs team, this is a play-in team.
But Davis is a champ. Kyrie is a champ. Jason Kidd has won a,
yeah,
as a player.
Quite
Jason
different.
Kidd. It is different, but this could have a similar impact. I can't do anything about, yes, the Spurs had already won a lot. You can't take me so literal here. You have to just look at it as what does Cooper Flag do to the expectations now for the Mavs? Well, you got 2 guys who are older who really can't carry a team anymore. Yeah. It's impossible. They can't stay healthy for that long. So here comes an 18-year-old in Cooper Flag to kind of be the, do everything on offense, defense guy. Yeah. And these dudes now are the, it's all a part of it.
Right. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I do get that. But I just think it's so different because nobody thought this Mavs team was winning. In fact, they were a laughingstock until last night, right? Everyone thought, they just pulled off the worst trade in the history of the NBA. So I think they're very different than the Spurs. And also, we had no idea Kawhi was coming. Everyone knows Cooper Flag. Kawhi was a shock. He was, the 15th pick?
Yeah.
And he was scoring 13 points a game on that team. He wasn't. This is Cooper Flag. He's the front-facing guy of the league. So it's a lot different.
The Mavs did just go to the finals, though. It's not like they have been this play-in team forever, right? They last year went to the finals. So clearly the team around them is not nothing.
Would they be a playoff team next year? I mean, they in the West before Cooper Flag, and even with Cooper Flag, what are they, 6th or 7th?
I mean, if Davis and Kyrie were healthy this year, they were probably a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at the West, they're definitely. Are they now a contender?
I hate to put that much on a rookie.
Yeah, I mean,
even LeBron didn't make the playoffs.
I just think you can't ignore. Was this what happened? All of a sudden, it wasn't the worst trade ever, and now this is a championship core. I thought we thought the Mavs were awful because they gave away Luka.
They definitely did, and that's why this is such a huge story. And I'm saying Dallas is the center of the basketball universe, and you're like, how dare you? It's Boston and it's New York and Minnesota.
Well, because
this is huge. This is huge.
I mean, those teams earned something. That was my point. Where Dallas just it fell into their lap. So Jalen Brunson should be the center. He just put on 39 points in a game. He did a lot more to get that spot. So I think we should. You can't celebrate a ping pong ball going your way like that.
Well, if you believe it's a ping pong ball, I think there could have been more things afoot behind the scenes. And
there's a real center of the universe.
Who's that?
Yeah. I mean, there's more games leaking out. We got the Bears coming on Thanksgiving for my Eagles. There's a lot happening right now, too.
It feels like every game that's leaking, and Bogusch is here with us, and maybe he's even got more. It feels like every game is an Eagles game.
It's literally what I have written in
4,
my script.
Right? We got 4.
We've got opening Thursday against the Cowboys.
Yep.
Black Friday against the Bears. And now the brand new one is they're going to Lambeau Monday night in Week 10.
Yeah, and somebody said, I actually have already seen a lot of debate on Twitter. What's the weather going to be like in Lambeau? I think that's a little early to determine that. Yeah.
Week 10?
Week 10.
Yeah, Week 10. I think you're okay.
The second Monday of November.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get snow then.
But also, the Eagles play in bad weather. It's less of a factor when it's 2 cold weather teams.
Yeah.
Nothing may be as cold as Lambeau or Chicago or Buffalo, or New England, I guess. But Philly's still really cold.
I would think, though, that traditionally the Packers get a little advantage in the colder weather game at home, but I don't know if that matters.
You guys have the tush push. It's the ultimate advantage. You still have it for now, too.
Yeah, but it's a schedule release. You gotta jump onto whatever you can.
Do you think this is a story? The Eagles going to Lambeau. That makes no sense to me.
I didn't know why they released that random Monday night game either.
I don't know either. I thought it was them. I thought I missed the first 9 weeks of Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I feel Black Friday. Yeah. That seems worth releasing, I guess. But
I guess because it's a playoff rematch and it's the Tush Push Bowl, I guess, is why they're throwing it out there.
Yeah, because Green Bay wanted to ban it.
Oh, that's next week, right?
Owners meetings back up. Yep.
Yeah.
Last chance before the season, I think, to ban it.
Yeah, all the reports are they're banning it. So, but anyway, it does seem like a lot of Eagles. I love that. I was so happy. I'm talking to a lot of my Eagles friends that they're 7-point favorites. They're going to stomp the Cowboys in Week 1. That is going to be one of the greatest parties in the history of Philadelphia.
So this is the Saturday doubleheader Week 16, that is Eagles-Bears. No, that's Commanders. I'm sorry. Commanders host the Eagles, and Bears host Green Bay. That's a Fox doubleheader that they announced yesterday with Tom Brady and Aaron Andrews awkwardly in front of a crowd.
Yeah, one thing that is actually really important about the schedule release, Jimmy Traina from Sports Illustrated, the media writer, was saying they're putting a lot behind paywalls this time.
I think the count is 10 different places games will air on this year.
There's more places than we've had over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think they might have expanded even more. I'm not sure about that, but generally you're going to have subscriptions to see some of these games.
Well, we knew that, though. We had Peacock already has been a thing, the NBC streamer. I saw Fox yesterday launch their streaming service.
Yes, Fox One.
What, are there any other, Snapface?
Where else are there games? So you need the broadcast channels, so you need a way to have access to those.
Yeah,
Fox
CBS and NBC.
And NBC. You need Peacock. You need
ESPN.
There might be an ESPN Plus game. You need Prime. You need
But we've needed
Netflix.
these.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I don't know if they expanded.
Is there anything new this year that I need?
The only thing new that I saw was that the Brazil game, they might put for free on YouTube because they want to break the record of a streaming audience.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of making you pay for it, they want anyone to go to it, so the number gets inflated, and they can go, we had 3 bazillion people watch this game.
Right. And they can sell ads like crazy off of it.
But I think so. I don't know that there's a new source in the 10, but it's 10 different places, some of which you have to pay for. So if you want to watch every single, and that doesn't even count Sunday Ticket, if you're paying for that as well to see all the games on a Sunday.
Oh, I'm just waiting. Any day now, I'll just get the charge. YouTube has taken $450 whatever out of your bank account.
I got to sign up for that early, get the rebate. So ESPN Plus, that's the one that I'm looking at the list of things.
Is that on there?
That was probably last year. I can't even remember.
I think there was an ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I think there was.
It was a random one of the double Monday night games,
yes,
right?
Possibly.
Well, that'll be fun.
Get your checkbooks out, everybody.
I think I have all of these. I think I'm covered. But I'm a little angry at this. This makes me mad. I do not like this, that the NFL is hiding its product for these prescriptions. I think everybody should be able to see every game. Sorry.
Well, you can always watch your home, in your market, you can always watch your home games for free, or your team for free, rather. But what about when eventually the Super Bowl goes to pay-per-view? What are you going to say about that?
I definitely don't like it. I mean, I'll pay for it, obviously. I'll pay for all of these. But and also because the NFL isn't a local sport, you have to see all 32 games because you bet on them all and you have fantasy guys. So I just generally, are most people like that? Doesn't it bother you a little bit, or are you okay?
I mean, I've been so beaten down by this stuff. But yeah, no, it's a lot of money, and it's also just annoying on top of that.
It's so annoying. That's the thing. I have to figure out my Peacock password here to watch the Chargers. That's not fun.
And again, the channel surfing is harder on all those things.
I know. Thursday night, it's the dilemma.
Yep.
Bogusch, what else is going on?
Well, they were already headed towards a third blown lead in this series, but then the Celtics may have lost all hope of rallying against the Knicks.
Jaylen Brown dropped it. Picked off by Anunoby. He will go the distance. Two-hand slam, and Tatum is hurt. Tatum is hurt. Tatum is still down. He is screaming for a timeout. And in a New York minute, everything has changed.
I know it's the least important thing, but that's a heck of a closing sentence from Sean Grande on Celtics radio. It certainly looked like Jason Tatum hurt his right Achilles making a move for that loose ball. He remained on the court in obvious pain for a while before being carried towards the locker room, putting no weight on that right leg. Tatum eventually in a wheelchair while being moved through the MSG tunnels. No official diagnosis yet, but Jaylen Brown knows it's bad.
Tonight is tough. I think everybody's kind of in a loss for words just because, one, losing the game, but obviously the concern with JT. But we pick our heads back up tomorrow and go from there.
Brown needed to be better before Tatum's injury. Just 20 points in only 33 minutes because of foul trouble. He and the Celtics heading home in a 3-1 hole after this 121-113 loss. In all 3 losses, Boston has led by double figures in the second half. They were up 14 in the third last night.
Can I speculate on something for a second? If we think it's an Achilles, which I don't want to jump to conclusions, but a lot of people saw him grab for the back of the leg. He wasn't writhing in pain. This is very different than Aaron Rodgers, who kind of hobbled off. Kobe Bryant hit free throws after a torn
Damian
Achilles.
Lillard just sat down and waited for somebody to come to him.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant kind of just limped around as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's way more to it, but we're sitting here now. It's mid-May. I know Rodgers tried to come back from this Achilles, but he's not 6'8".
Mm-hmm.
So does this mean the whole next season?
Yeah,
It's definitely
KD.
gone for Tatum, right?
Yeah.
KD was more than a season, wasn't it?
KD missed the whole season.
But he was
Yeah,
older,
and a
no?
little chunk of he really wasn't himself when he came back
I'm
either.
just trying to think what the domino effect could be.
Celtics are done.
No, well, I mean, they're paying both guys. They've stayed with both guys.
Well, they would have been done anyway because the coach isn't good, in my opinion. He clearly, make a plan on Jalen Brunson. Secondly, Drew Holiday's old. Al Horford's old. They definitely have all their money tied up in Brown and Tatum. This thought of a dynasty is not there, and KP can't stay healthy. So,
but counterpoint, it's the East, which is getting a little bit. I don't say it's easy, but they may have an easier path at least to get a high seed than in the West. They do still have Brad Stevens, who I think is thought of as a very good front office man. They, they're still the Celtics. They're not tanking.
yeah, I mean, I don't see.
Why not just retool?
I'm assuming Tatum is gone, and Jaylen Brown's been, as Bogue said, a little disappointing. I don't see really any chance.
But how could you trade Tatum now? You'd be trading him off an Achilles?
No, I mean, there's nothing you could do. You're not wringing another title out of this group. Does anybody think that this particular group can win another championship?
Well, I mean, they were also talking about breaking this team up with the new ownership that's coming in. So, I mean, now that Jason Tatum's Achilles is gone, I mean, how much more expedited is the breakup going to be?
I don't know.
How old
He's
is
going to be
Derek?
selling low if it's Tatum.
How old is Derek White, too? It feels like he's already lost a step in just 1 year.
I don't know.
30.
Just trying to think what did this injury actually
Turning
do?
31 in July.
The line, the different doors, sliding doors that changed because of this injury.
I mean, I think the Celtics are out, and I think it's going to be new teams in the East. Maybe the Knicks, huh?
Knicks, Pacers.
God.
But it doesn't feel like it feels like the East is going to have a new champion every year, right? But it feels like there's a lot of parity to me.
And Giannis is now
Magic.
Maybe they're coming up. Giannis might leave,
Alex
might be out of the East too. Bogues, back to you.
Where was I? Oh, yes.
Warriors.
The Warriors.
Yeah.
They had a 2-point lead halfway through Game 4 with the T-Wolves, but were down 20 after 3 after Anthony Edwards scored 16 in that third. The offense coming after a halftime speech from Ant-Man.
I told him we only got 2 wins. I've never seen a series end 2-1. I told him, we got to get 2 more wins, and right now we playing like we already got 4 wins. Like we playing like they're gonna lay down. Knowing this team, knowing their head coach, they're never gonna lay down. So we had to figure it out, man. Because if we would have kept playing like that, we would have lost tonight.
But they didn't lose, so now they have a
He's very good.
3-1 series lead. Game 5 in Minneapolis tomorrow. Steph Curry not expected to return from the hamstring injury he suffered in Game 1. The current NBA draft lottery setup has been in place now since 2019, and the team with the worst record still has not ended up with the top pick. The Jazz going to the number 5 slot last night, while the Mavs jumped 10 spots to number 1 and Cooper Flag. The Spurs have the 2nd pick to add somebody to back-to-back Rookies of the Year in Wemby and Stephon Castle.
They can't keep getting away with it.
And Stuart Skinner sounds like the Edmonton Oilers' accountant, but instead he is their goaltender, and he made 23 saves to shut out Vegas 3-0 for a 3-1 series lead.
Yeah, it felt great. I mean, all I can really say is thanks to the guys playing in front of me. They were amazing tonight. Made my job a lot easier, battling, a lot of block shots, and I mean, the way that we played defensively was superb, so a lot of credit to the guys.
The Hurricanes up 3-1 on the Capitals after a 5-2 home win. Carolina 5-0 in Carolina this postseason. And baseball last night, some ninth-inning drama. The Braves topped the Nats 4-3 on Alex Verdugo's game-ending RBI single, and the always exciting walk-off sac fly, courtesy of Pete Alonso, his Mets 4, the Pirates 3.
Hey, gets the job done. Sack flies are sexy too. Gets the job done.
Anyone else want to take that?
Funny, I've never seen it on a T-shirt or anything. Sack flies are sexy too.
It's an RBI, man.
Maybe that's Manny's lane. We got more NFL to do for you.
Got the Mets a win yesterday.
We're asking you a question. Do you think the NBA draft lottery is rigged? The Mavericks.
Is Manny rigged?
I don't think he'd know it.
I'm rigged on caffeine and nicotine, brother.
It's a little Manchurian candidate situation. he's an asset. He just doesn't know why or how.
I'm just around, bro.
Exactly. 888-710-4ISN. We do have some NFL more for you in terms of which is the team that Perloff and I believe should be getting more buzz, more primetime games, and who could we see kind of go away? MVP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. We get back to basketball in a second. Obviously, the Mavs get the draft lottery. They win the draft lottery. It looks like Duke star Cooper Flagg is headed to Dallas, although now there's some theories out there that Giannis being available and now Cooper Flagg being a possibility. Is there a trade in the works? I can't imagine Dallas. Like, you got to just take the manna from heaven here. The Cooper Flagg, when you had a 1.8% chance, falls in your lap. You can't start trying to outthink yourself to trade for Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they'd work out the money on that anyway. That's the problem with, and the Spurs at 2, that's a real possibility. By the way, the Spurs is also a big story because getting that number 2 pick was massive. They could definitely trade for Giannis. Can you see that happening?
Yeah, I guess if they could make it work, yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of dead cap guys that they could. I would not give up that number 2 pick necessarily for Giannis. I think Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are going to be stars too. In fact, I don't think it's a guarantee by any stretch that Cooper's the best player in this draft. Because Ace Bailey was a number 1 overall recruit, then Dylan Harper was what is Cooper Flagg? This is like an ongoing debate with me and my friends.
I know, because you were down on the ACC this year, right? I mean, he was so good.
But what's
he had
his
an
player
incredible season. I don't know, but I saw Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper didn't even make the tournament. So, and I'm not saying that's the end all be all. You can still have a good career even if you have a disappointing college career, but it's just odd to me they couldn't make the tournament. I don't know.
Well, I'm just looking at the player comps. Ace Bailey gets Kevin Durant, and Cooper Flagg gets Kawhi or Jason Tatum. What's the upside of Cooper Flagg? It's hard to see him being the 1A on a championship team.
Well, he's 18. Give him a sec.
Yeah,
right?
I know, but his style of play, like a 6'9", I don't know. Just doesn't feel. He's not LeBron. Let's put it that way.
Well, 888-710-4ISN. Big show debate today because Perloff does not believe in NBA draft conspiracy theories, and I don't see how you cannot believe in NBA draft conspiracy theories. But first, a moment last night. Can I just take you behind the scenes with our show? So obviously, sometimes it kind of feels like we're all ganging up on Perloff because he's a Philadelphia fan, and we sometimes back you into a corner a little bit, but
rightly deserved.
you fight back. You're the top of the mountain now because the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, and we sometimes as a show tend to root against Philadelphia, right?
I know I do.
So last night when this was happening in real time, our text thread was like a minute behind. So Kevin Nagandi on the live show, the live lottery show, the teams are getting revealed, and he said this.
The Toronto Raptors. That means the Spurs are in the top 4 with 2 teams jumping into the top 4. That means the Sixers will lose their pick to the Thunder because it's outside the top 6.
And the villagers rejoiced. We all were so quick to pile on Perloff here. We're like, ha Sixers, they lost their pick. And Daryl Morey's sitting there looking all bloated.
I manifested, Pearl.
Well, it turned off. It wasn't right.
Picking 6. The Washington Wizards. Correction now. That means Philadelphia is in the top 4. So they make the jump, and suddenly Jared McCain is riding the roller coaster we all are inside this room. The Sixers are in the top 4.
And they end up getting the top 3 pick.
Damn it, Nagandi.
Well, here's the funny part. Nagandi, huge Philadelphia fan, right? So we know that.
Temple guy, right?
But he must have gotten some bad information. I feel for him because we've all been there as broadcasters where you say the wrong thing and then you just feel awful about it. But the wild swing of emotion that happened on our text thread that was like, haha, Perloff, 76ers suck too. Oh, wait a minute. You just got a top 3 pick in a 3-person draft. Congrats to you.
Yeah, no, I missed the whole thing. I was indisposed for the hour before the game, so for the lottery. I moved on immediately to the Dylan Harper Ace Bailey debate, which is, by the way,
well, you get to you kind of just pick whoever's left, right?
Yes,
because you're picking third.
There is, but it is really tricky. I don't think in a normal draft, by the way, will we be super hype about these two guys? I think Cooper Flagg has just got a lot of attention. It's pretty good. Fortunately for me, I saw EJ's text saying, "Haha, I'm so happy we lost." But by the time I saw that, I'd already seen the correction inside the text thread, so I missed the entire thing, to be honest.
Yeah, it was like this dopamine spike. Like if we'd been hooked up to like meters following like scanning our brains, it would have been like dopamine spike. Haha, Sixers suck, and then it was like, oh man,
what a crash.
But I got to tell you, the Sixers are not going to do anything with this pick. I mean, they're still stuck with Joel Embiid. Like, that ain't going anywhere.
No, you could couple this with Joel Embiid, maybe get rid of Jared McCain and just start fresh.
I would get rid of Embiid and start with McCain. No.
Well, obviously, yeah, that'd be the correct thing to do with any GM.
Sixers
but, I'm just.
I'm trying so hard to get excited, but even like there are certain franchises now that what are you gonna do?
I'm really interested. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen with Flagg and the Mavs. Like, you just got to take the gift, and I don't think there's going to be any funny business there. But that Spurs with the second pick, if Wemby wants to go to San Antonio, or not Wemby, if Giannis wants to go to San Antonio, pardon me, does he want to go from Milwaukee, though? Does he have his sights set a little bit more on L.A.? Because of,
well, I mean, if he wants to win a title, obviously San Antonio, well, that's a pretty good.
Popovich's not coaching anymore.
Are we sure Nico Harrison is going to draft Cooper Flagg?
No, not at all. By the way, I might not trade Dylan Harper for Giannis. I mean, Dylan Harper might be a 10-time All-Star.
Giannis is a 10-time All-Star.
Yeah, he's 31. I don't think his style is going to translate.
Coming up, guess who's back?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Well, wouldn't you know it? NBA draft lottery last night. One team's got a 1.8% chance to land the top pick. What we think could be a generational talent. Throw that around a little too much, but Cooper Flagg certainly fits the bill. And look where it lands, Pearl. The Dallas Mavericks get the number 1 overall pick just a couple months after they traded away their other generational star, Luka Doncic. Now the front office and ownership group get a kick save and a beauty to start over again. And I don't know why they were rewarded. I don't know if they deserved it. The fans did, not the front office. And Nico Harrison gets second life.
They were rewarded because a random bunch of ping pong balls flew up in the air. But that being said,
your rube.
I'll tell you right now, I'm seeing dark clouds on the horizon in Dallas. I think you think this is kumbaya. They have it all solved. Any team dumb enough to trade Luka for Anthony Davis will screw this up, Maggie.
Well, but here's the flip side of that. Yes, I agree. The trade is terrible no matter how you slice it. Luka could be Homer Simpson. They did not get enough in return for Luka, even if you think he's going to fall apart tomorrow. The one thing is, though, they had built a pretty interesting team around Luka. He's not an easy guy to build around, and the Lakers are about to find this out. There's not like a perfect fit. He's not Jokic, It's a very different type of guy to build a team around. And so the Mavs had done a good job. They made it to the finals last year. So
yeah, with an asterisk. They beat the T-Wolves and a young T-Wolves. Anyway, but do you build around outside shooters and rim protectors, right?
Right, and they were able to build something around Luka. Now they bought low on Kyrie Irving, right, because he was toxic at the time, and he's rehabbed his image, I guess. But so the Luka thing was certainly feels like an outlier, is what I'm saying. It was a horrible trade. There's a lot of people out there who think this was all part of a bigger conspiracy. That maybe the league wanted Luka in LA and maybe the Mavs did him a solid and now maybe the Mavs are getting rewarded. This depends on whether or not you want to go down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is until the Luka trade happened, weren't you giving the Mavs front office some high marks for how they did build around Luka? So why do you think all of a sudden they're going to blow it
because
with
they made the Luka trade. I can't get over that. Okay. I mean, by the way, but a month ago, you thought the Mavs, what are you talking about? A month ago, you agreed with me that was the worst trade ever.
Oh, I'm with you. But I'm just saying that
we thought it was crazy that Nico still had a job. Everybody did.
But outside of that trade, which again is unforgivable, I'm granting you that. Can you put that to a side for a second? They had just gotten to the finals. They clearly had built a roster that could compete at a super high level. And they ran into a Celtics team that was much more seasoned and that it was certainly their time. And Luka had to grow up. But
I don't understand. So it sounds like you were pulling a 180 on your take on the Mavs because of what happened last night.
No, I'm just not sure that they are going to screw this up like you are. I think they got a gift from the basketball gods / the NBA front office,
here's
league office.
The other thing, there is a reality of the West. I mean, you are staring at just young juggernauts all over the place. You got the Thunder, you got the Rockets, you got the T-Wolves. You have, there's so much talent. Like Dallas is going to be one of many. So it's going to be hard to translate this into a title, which is, I think now is your only goal.
Yeah, you have to have an expectation of title. I think it's the Kyrie injury. Like, he's hurt now. We're not sure when exactly he's going to be back. And he's just one injury away. I think he's a big part of them actually being a title contender. But they've got the big guys in the front court. Anthony Davis is never healthy enough, but maybe he puts it together. Now they're going to have Cooper Flagg.
So you said when the trade happened, there's no way. This is the exact quote. There's no way Anthony Davis keeps it together. Now it's a maybe, just because of some ping pong balls.
Well, it's Flagg. Not all draft lotteries are the same. Some are just bigger than others. And I'm not saying that it all works out. Ask New Orleans about Zion.
But
that was one of the biggest draft lotteries ever, and he's been a disappointment.
What does Cooper Flagg have to do with Anthony Davis's health? And by the way, ACL surgery March 26th for Kyrie, so we are not seeing him anytime soon.
No.
Why? Just because they have Cooper Flagg, that's going to keep Anthony Davis healthy?
I don't know if it's not going to keep him healthy because he couldn't stay healthy with LeBron. I'm just saying that it adds a little different dimension if Cooper Flagg is as promised. And by the way, I don't think it's going to be year one. You got to give the guy a second to get acclimated to the league. So
he's young too.
I don't think it's right away. I don't think it's right now, but Cooper Flagg is a move for now and for 10 years from now. At least that's what you're hoping.
Yeah, well, Cooper Flagg's not a move. Cooper Flagg's a gift.
A gift.
A move implies that you had some intent. I just think that it's going to be really interesting. I don't know. If I was fixing this lottery, I probably wouldn't have sent him there because I would have sent him, and I'll tell you specifically, to San Antonio because I think the NBA needs not necessarily a dynasty. They need a buzz team. They need an it team. There's too much parity right now at the top. Basically, we're going to have a new champion because Boston likely loses Jason Tatum. Like, what do we want? We need Wemby to step up and be the guy. We kind of need the Spurs to win a title. Because LeBron's going away, Maggie. Your guy's going away in a year or two. He can't play till he's 50.
Well, the Spurs have been heavily linked now to Giannis. So it may not come in the form of Cooper Flagg. It may come via trade.
I don't like that as much. I think Giannis is getting older. Like, Giannis would be like 1 or 2. I think if you had Wemby, Cooper Flagg, Castle, you could build a dynasty, kind of like a Bulls dynasty. Like, you could really, really build something here. I think the NBA needs a dynasty. We had the Warriors. We had sort of LeBron. Like, what are you excited about? You look at the teams that are remaining. Like, what's the NBA Finals that really is going to capture the casual fan?
Well, Manny's pointing to his New York Knicks hat. I do think people jump on to the Knicks. I think people like the celebrities in Madison Square Garden, and it's fun to watch them. And they're an exciting team. They are. They play exciting style too.
But they're under the rim. I don't know. I think they need to win. They haven't won in so long that I think there's a whole generation who missed the Knicks being good. So I don't know that nationally they get a lot of buzz yet. Jalen Brunson's 6'2". Has a lot of mid-range, like a mid-range warrior.
This is why this is the year 2025, the year of the drought buster. But still got a long way to go. Long way to go. Last night, the Knicks took a 3-1 series lead over the Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
The big news, though, was Jason Tatum in the final 3 minutes of the game. Looks like an Achilles. He was in serious pain. He had to get carried off the court. We saw him in a wheelchair, just absolutely inconsolable. Even if you loathe Boston sports or loathe Duke, that was a really hard thing to watch. Clearly, he was having an incredible game, too, going bucket for bucket with Brunson. And so you hate to see it, but this one probably hands the series to the Knicks. They're up 3-1. And then because Steph Curry is hurt for the Warriors and not playing, the rest of the Warriors could not pick it up last night. They were down 2, I believe, at half, or up 2 at half.
Up at half, yeah.
And then, they were in a 20-point hole by the end of the third quarter.
Ant-Man hit a long 3 right before half, and I was like, oh, crap. But by the way, one distinction, again, and I said this earlier, the Knicks were winning the series with or without Tatum. They did not get a gift from Tatum. They are outplaying the Celtics, and they're outcoaching them. They're outdoing him in every way. So I want to give the Knicks their full credit there.
Well, they've been down 20 points in 2 different games, and they were down 14 last night midway through the third quarter. Yeah. So are they really outplaying them? Or
yeah, I think so. I really do think so. They were up 9, or they were up 7 when the injury happened, and Anunoby's dunk made it 9 with 2 minutes left. I really think that they're They're hustling a lot more. They're outworking Boston. I mean, how many rebounds does Josh Hart get? I think they deserve all the flowers for this series. I think Boston is getting not lazy, but they're just settling with these threes still. Yeah, I think the Knicks were going to win the series. In fact, they might have even won 5 with or without Tatum.
On the flip side,
I'm into that team now.
On the Western side of things, just the fact that, what did we see last year? The Timberwolves basically run out of gas when they got to the Western Conference Finals, and Dallas Mavericks were able to win that series. I think it's very important for them to wrap up this series against the Warriors in 5. Give themselves a little chance to rest, because you've got OKC and Denver tied at 2 apiece. That could be going long.
That's going 7.
If that goes 7, now Denver's gone back-to-back 7-game series.
Yeah.
First against the Clippers, now it would be against OKC. And then what do they have left in the tank?
They have no depth either.
Right. So this could set up really well for the Timberwolves if they can take care of business. We just haven't even really had a good Jimmy Butler game yet without Steph, obviously. He was fine in the last game, but not, or 2 games ago, not last night. It's been disappointing.
I mean, he's totally fine. He's trying to get everybody involved. I mean,
he scored 14 points.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't. He didn't play bad. Like, he was in kind of control of the game. He had a lot. He was feeding guys left or right. That's what the Warriors do. They don't ISO ball. They're trying to get everybody involved. And he was definitely like, I mean, he's playing with a subpar roster around him. You have to give him that.
Sure. I mean, it has not been good for the Pajemskis of the world and guys like that. You don't want Draymond Green to be your second leading scorer in a game like that with no Steph Curry. He just wasn't being aggressive enough, in my opinion, in terms of looking for his shot, Jimmy Butler. You got no Steph. Like, there's
but you're going against an army of 6'7" wing defenders there who are just focused on you. Yeah, I know you've been down on Jimmy this thing, but Jimmy's 35 on a new team. I think he's doing fine. Honestly, if Jimmy played his A game, would that make a difference here? They just do not have a good team.
888-710-4ISN. Let's get to some other news we learned yesterday. No, we already knew that the NBA was coming back to NBC. But yesterday in New York City, there were all these things called media upfronts where media companies go and pitch all the new stuff they've got going on, Pearl, and they hope that advertisers come and buy it. NBC's doing their upfronts. Lo and behold, all of a sudden you hear the Alan Parsons Project, and here pops up Michael Jordan in a televised message to the crowd saying he is now going to be a special contributor to the NBA on NBC. Michael Jordan on our televisions talking about basketball. You heard this news and thought what?
I got a plan. So NBC's investing, I think, $2.8 billion per year in the NBA. They need to make a big splash.
Yeah.
So Jordan is a big splash. I imagine they'll do, I think this is what they're going to do. They're going to have one-on-one interviews with Jordan and a player.
Okay, so Jordan conducting a one-on-one interview to lead into a game.
Right. So they said he was going to be a contributor, right? I think they're going to have, because they really need to make this all work, I think they're going to have Jordan interview LeBron for the kickoff.
Right. I want to see that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. I hope we get a LeBron Jordan. Now, here's the question about Jordan, though. Would he be flying all over the country to interview these people? I can't imagine Jordan want to do that. You got to go to him.
I don't know. Jordan, is Jordan currently married?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to want to get away from his wife, so he'll definitely fly around. That's why
he's got rounds of golf to play.
Pro athletes love the TV business. They love. Yeah. No, 100% he will fly around.
Okay.
He's private, probably too.
Well, of course, it's Michael Jordan.
And he loves playing golf.
Commercial? Michael Jordan ain't getting on an American Airlines flight to Boston.
You don't think he wants to play on the other? You don't think he's probably going to go to Charlotte to interview some guy there just so he can play Quail Hollow?
I think he lives there.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's Charlotte. I'm just trying to think of a nice golf course. He's going to go. I'm definitely interviewing Jonathan Kuminga in San Francisco so I can play Pebble. Wait, Jordan has definitely got a plan here.
But if you want to go to San Francisco or you want to play Pebble, you also have to go to sit down with Anthony Edwards in Minnesota in the middle of January. You're not playing golf there.
Wait, this is Michael Jordan. Why do you think he doesn't get to pick and choose who he interviews? He's not interviewing Anthony Edwards in January in Minnesota.
He's going to interview him when the Heat are hosting the Timberwolves down in Miami, so he can go ahead and enjoy some of that sun.
No one's assigning Jordan to these interviews. He's choosing his interviews based on golf. Yeah, he's flying around the country to play golf.
So that Anthony Edwards can call him an old man. I mean, or just joke around with him. I'm sure it's some other way. You're right, though. Your original point, is kind of where my thought went to. And maybe
right. So you see this coming as well. I just think that everything is setting up. I don't think Jordan is oblivious to the fact that people criticize him about being oversensitive about LeBron challenging him. I think he's heard this noise. And he heard LeBron the other day on the interview on McAfee say, Jordan doesn't really talk to me.
Right.
He's probably waiting for him retired.
Yeah.
I think Jordan wants to address that. I think Jordan's like, oh, I can get an easy win here by talking to LeBron and giving him some flowers.
So as far as Jordan's going to be a special contributor to the NBA and NBC. I do want to see him interview LeBron. I think he would do it. And we will scrutinize this interview because it'd be fun to see the body language and how does Jordan compliment LeBron? Does he say a lot? Does he say a little? Does it feel canned? Does it feel authentic? All that stuff. But the other part is just how is he going to talk about LeBron? Because say it's more than just one-on-one interviews that he's doing. Like, is he actually going to dip his toe in any controversies? Jordan has famously said nothing. He built a brand and a career on not offending people. And, in this day and age, it's really hard to have an opinion that, and to be honest, just to peel back the onion a little bit, the best opinions you can have in media are when 50% of the people agree with you and 50% disagree. That's just part of it. So is he going to want to step out and say things that may be deemed unpopular?
No.
So what are we getting then? We're getting something vanilla?
It's NBC. What do you think you're getting? You're getting it's not Inside the NBA on TNT. So, of course, you're not getting anything interesting. It's going to be even watered down from where ESPN is.
But you don't think there's an expectation that Jordan's going to share knowledge here? We kind of criticized Brady when he was pretty vanilla, and I think we praised him when he would actually say stuff. Same thing with Belichick.
Yeah, you're not getting anything from Jordan like that. Unless he could get Charles in there to rile him up.
They're not friends anymore.
Well, you're right. But I'd say Charles will be over at ESPN. No, I'd be shocked if you got strong opinions from Jordan. That's why I think they'll hide him in the interview segment.
You think he's good at interviewing people?
Who cares? He's Michael Jordan. Do you think that he'll be do a take thing? I'd be very surprised, pleasantly surprised, but I'd be very, very surprised.
So I think there's some stuff with Brady or maybe even with Jordan, and maybe it pulls at Jordan a little bit more, but perhaps he has the discipline not to say anything. I think it ticks them off when guys don't realize their potential, be lazy, don't play. I think that Jordan would not be afraid to call out certain people. As far as weighing in on the Jordan LeBron thing or weighing in on other, the NBA in China, I don't think he's going to do anything like that. But I do think he will call guys out for not playing well because who could blame him? And you can't ever say anything about Jordan. He was a model of consistency. He always brought it. And so he can really talk from the top of the mountain and look down and say, you didn't do enough.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, he'll look down on everybody, even the guy who wins a title in 5 games. He'd be like, that guy's no me. So there's not a single person he's not looking down on. That's funny. I understand the traditional, calling guys out. That's what analysts do. I'd be surprised if Michael Jordan entered that role. I really would. And it'd be fun to see it. I agree with you. He has all the expertise. I just can't see him sitting on the desk and it's sort of a cliche, Jaylen Brown's got to bring it. I don't know. That feels below Michael Jordan. That feels like a Kendrick Perkins kind of thing.
Well, I thought Brady getting into a booth kind of felt a little below Brady.
But Brady did not want to do the studio show, so he didn't have to do any of that calling out guys.
Yeah, I mean, you have to a little bit throughout the course of the game. Our pal Nick in Texas very upset with you. You did not know that Michael Jordan was married because his wife is really stunning looking.
Well, it's his second wife, obviously. Yeah, I have no comment on Michael Jordan's personal life.
Wait, this is Michael Jordan, the Hornets owner? What does he know about basketball? He drove the Hornets, the franchise, to the ground. What is he doing?
This is someone who was born in the year 2000.
Who else is on the NBC panel? It's Carmelo, right?
Yeah, Melo. I think Jamal is.
Yeah, Jamal Crawford.
Who's there? Stephen A. Do they have any analysts?
So I was thinking about who comes with Jordan. Who's the obvious answer?
Dennis.
Ahmad Rashad?
Ahmad Rashad.
Ahmad Rashad's going to be...
Ahmad?
How old is Ahmad Rashad?
Who cares? I'm sure he looks better than all of us put together.
But Ahmad Rashad's not even a take guy. He loves everybody.
I know, but it's like Ahmad Rashad has got to be. I feel like wherever Michael Jordan is, Ahmad Rashad is within 10 feet.
Ahmad will be 76 in November.
So
I bet he still looks good, guys.
One thing I got to warn you in advance: NBC's coverage of NBA ain't going to be good. Just set your bar low.
How could you say that? You don't know.
I used to work at NBC. So trust me, this is going to be as vanilla as they could possibly make it. They just brought in Michael Jordan to say nothing. Like, this is not going to be a good. ESPN, I don't like their NBA coverage. Like, I find that too kind of plain. Like, I just don't think it's going to be what people think it's going to be. I think it's going to be very, very corporate, very staid.
Well, we'll see what happens with Jordan. But the fact that they pulled Jordan, I mean, he wasn't doing media. He did a 10-part documentary on himself, but he's not doing media.
I generally think when media outlets try and just spend their way into a good show, that never, ever works.
Yes, a TV executive once told me any show could suck. That's true. Any show can suck, even one with Michael Jordan on it. But I'm just fascinated to see what he says. I don't know if Jordan's going to feel any of this pressure, but there is a lot for people who grew up idolizing him to now finally get some kind of like what may be unvarnished, unfettered access to his basketball opinions.
Like, he's going to be so bad. But what NBC, Jordan's going to be terrible. You ever seen an interview when he was the Charlotte owner? But
not
NBC,
really. See, that's the thing. I feel like he wasn't around a lot.
Like
anyway.
Leon.
They got Football Night in America. They brought in, it was the most, because I was part of this because Dan was there.
Yeah.
They brought in Dan Patrick,
Legend.
Bob Costas,
Legend.
Jerome Bettis, Tiki Barber. They had like 6 other guys. It was like a scene out of The Naked Gun. They had a studio show of 23 legends. It failed instantly. Like, it did just fail like in a matter of days. Like by week 4, they're like, holy crap, this show doesn't work at all. Then they got rid of all of them next year, and they just had Dan, Tony Dungy, and Rodney. So they basically had a cast of thousands that they paid millions of dollars for, and the show was unwatchable because there was nobody could say anything.
Right. Well, that's
Collinsworth was in the first studio show too, by the way.
Really?
He wasn't doing games, I don't think.
Oh, interesting. I don't even remember that.
It was Madden, I believe, was the first NBC.
Well, you don't want to overstack it. You know,
you just can't pay. You have to. There's something different. I just don't think you can pay for talent there. I think you have to. You really have to let the guys be honest, and I don't see them being on NBC.
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think it's going to be fun. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476, but I would get Ahmad Rashad back. That's real advice. Because I think he makes Jordan comfortable. It's like, you know, having your best friend right there next to you. It's a different, you speak like a shorthand, you know. Maybe he feels like Ahmad's going to sort of have his back on stuff. Not that he needs it, but...
Jamal Crawford, Reggie Miller, Carmelo Anthony, Mike Tirico, and Noah Eagle will be part of NBC's.
Oh, but a lot of those guys will be doing games.
Right, like Eagle and Tirico.
Right, but that's the crew.
But here's the other question. Like, we don't know if Michael Jordan's going to be at a table ever.
I don't know.
Right, is he going to be doing color commentary?
That word special contributor.
Like an in studio every now and then.
That word special contributor, like I ain't getting anywhere near that desk. I don't think Michael Jordan wants to be.
Gretzky did it.
I'll join in on a Zoom for about 15 minutes.
Remember Magic?
Once every 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to be here.
Well, it turns out that Magic has a very specific set of skills. One is being an amazing basketball player. The other is making a ton of money.
Well, no, I thought you were going to say stating the obvious on social media. He's amazing at that.
He is a newswire.
I mean, Tatum suffered an injury yesterday, and the Celtics lost to the Knicks.
Yeah, looked pretty bad.
Not going to be great for the Celtics down the road.
Like, the better the player, the worse the analyst generally. Brady, obviously.
Well, we'll see with Brady. I thought he was going to be one and done. To Brady's credit, he's coming back in the booth for a second season.
Yeah, but being a GOAT on the court, it's hard to make that transition.
Just depends how honest you want to be. 888-710-4ISN, because anything you say we're going to think is interesting.
Well, Montana lasted about half a season. Like, it's harder than I think you're giving it credit for.
Coming up, well, Bill Belichick transitioned to the media.
Oh, my God. That lasted a long time.
It went smoother on the surface than it did apparently behind the scenes. We've got more reporting on the Belichick-Jordan Hudson story.
Journalism.
This is something I promise you have not heard yet. We will do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
baby! Yeah! Oh! Yeah! Let's go, Knicks! Let's go, baby! Yeah! Oh! Yeah! Let's go, Knicks! Let's go, baby! Yeah!
EJ's at the bar with a cold, cheap beer. Says Trae Young's no big deal, don't bring him here. But the Knicks lost again and it's starting to show as he punches the jukebox playing Old Town Road. I'm over Trae, he shouts as he tips his hat, but his phone's buzzing with Hawks game stats. Pickups parked outside, girls waiting to ride, but EJ's ranting about Trae instead of his bride. EJ don't care about Trae Young, no way, but he's crying in his beer when the Hawks outplay. Just a small town punk with a lucky streak, but Trae's living rent free every Knicks lost week. EJ's got a shotgun rack and a pickup truck. Trae can't break my spirit, I don't give a. He's got a girl on the side, but she's feeling ignored, cause EJ's busy yelling Trae can't score no more. I'm over him, he growls as the whiskey pours, but he's watching replays from game before. Small town pride, a Knicks fans fight, but Trae's shadow looms in the neon light. EJ don't care about Trae Young, no way, but he's crying in his beer when the Hawks outplay. Just a small town punk with a lucky streak, but Trae's living rent free every Knicks lost week. EJ don't care about Trae Young, no way, but he's crying in his beer when the Hawks outplay. Just a small town punk with a lucky streak, but Trae's living bout revenge Knicks parade day. Get that Hawks kid out of my town, but he's playing Trae's highlights when no one's around, so here.
EJ's the king and he's ruling this show. Maggie and Perloff gotta go with the flow. Fresh squeezed OJ, get it in my hand. Bow to your king, obey my command. But where's Peter Bellotti? He's gone again. The king's in power, but we're missing our friends. He's got a shrine to Anne Hathaway, photos lined up like a Broadway play. Whispers her name in the dead of night. In his dreams, she's the guiding light. He knows her lines from every flick, from The Devil Wears Prada to Les Miserables tricks. He's got a doll with a porcelain face. In his mind, they share a secret space. Lights dim low, hearts beating slow. EJ and Bogusch, their secrets grow. Anne and Jem, the muses they crave. Love so creepy, it's dug their grave. Bogusch keeps quiet, but he can't deny. Jennifer's charm makes his spirit fly. Late at night, he watches they crave. Love so creepy, it's dug their. And he's got that hungry look, sitting down for breakfast like a king in a nook. Give me that croissant and make it fucking nice. And don't forget that fresh squeezed OJ is my vice. He's just ordering big. Jay's back, he's limping in, but he's ready to roll. After that knee took a hit, but it couldn't take his soul. He's been down, he's been out, but now he's back on his feet. Peter Bellotti's still missing, but EJ can't be beat. EJ's back in the game, he's pushing through the pain. Peter Bellotti's still MIA, but EJ's here to stay. The work don't stop, the show goes on. EJ's fighting hard from dusk till dawn. That knee might have tried to take him down, but EJ's the toughest guy around. He's clocking in, he's doing his time.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. So it's already 3.5 hours to show. You haven't mentioned Jordon Hudson. Everything, because, yeah.
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah, well, you have your Mavericks lottery fix.
Yeah. Conspiracy theories.
Yeah, your new Ipe, by the way. We're going to be hearing a lot about this for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Because it could be a multitude of theories. It's not just one. You know, my theory on Ipe, Shohei's interpreter, and the question's still not answered, is the guy, they're spending every waking moment together, and Shohei had never seen him place a bet before. That's what you're telling me? 17 hours a day, they're together, and he has no idea. He's not why are you asking about UCLA women's soccer? No, there's nothing. Okay.
It's almost too easy to get her wound up. I know. I mean, just mention a couple words. I think Ipe, Jordon, Hudson, Mavericks win the draft lottery. We're good for the year.
And did you notice that she actually changed notebooks? Like she closed the draft lottery conspiracy and opened up the new one.
The Belichick notepad that I have. Yeah.
You know when it's a Maggie topic, we shall be banging the desk on.
How are you not seeing it, Perloff? Open your third eye, damn it.
The Wings got the first pick,
But I love that, by the way. Ipe only exists on 1 or 2 levels. This Mavericks thing is about 14 levels.
I said, I've got 3 theories just that I have.
Which all contradict each other, but you have no problem with that.
No.
Now, the bad news for us, Maggie, because I'm with you lockstep on the draft lottery, but our problem is going to be in roughly 35-ish minutes. Our colleague Bill Ryder was one of the people who apparently witnessed the lottery.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So he's going to come on and tell us why on his show, why if you think it's fixed, you're full of you-know-what.
Yeah, and that's fine because I would just ask Bill, and I would ask anybody. Bill, I would ask Zach Lowe. I would ask, this is not just a Bill thing. I would ask
Dave McManaman came out.
Dave McManaman,
Tim
Ben
Bontemps.
Golliver. We can name everybody who covers the NBA on a national level.
Covers the NBA.
Right.
Needs access to the NBA.
Well, that's a Bogusch theory.
I'm kidding.
I would just ask this question about why fans and why the NBA hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt with fans. This is what I'd ask. Do you believe it all in the frozen envelope? Do you think that LeBron James going to the Cavs was a complete and utter coincidence?
Yes.
Do you think Wemby going to the Spurs was a coincidence?
Definitely. That one, definitely.
Do you think that David Stern interfered at all to leak the Donaghy scandal to the New York Times so that they would stop their investigation and they could call... The FBI would stop their investigation, and they could.
That's not even illegal. That's like this fixing a lottery is fraud.
If you
calling the New York Times is something David Stern probably did every Wednesday.
If you have a league that you think has ever, at any point, manipulated any pieces on the chessboard, then you have to give fans and understand where they're coming from. You can say we're wrong. You can say we're stupid. You can say we're full of crap. If you can explain away every single thing that the NBA has ever done in their history, then fine, we're all full of it. But you can't. I know they can't, because I think that even Bill would say that there are things that that have happened in the history of the NBA that would call things into question about whether or not the league ever manipulated anything.
So you're saying because David Stern called the New York Times, they must have fixed these lottery balls for Dallas Mavericks? Because that doesn't make any sense to me. Of course he leaked to the Times. So what's the big deal? That happens all the time.
It's called trying to have a cover-up that there were more rogue officials who were involved in gambling, and they tried to circumvent an investigation.
Right, which makes perfect sense. To have a David Blaine-like trick on a ping pong ball is a level of science that is 5,000 times more complicated. Like, it's just explain physically how they do this.
Well,
if you have one explanation for that, then I'm ready to go.
So I love Bill, and he's great, and I think he's awesome, and I think his show is great. And I love Ryan and everybody. I'm just saying you have to understand. Like, before you chide us and chastise us, not just Bill, but everybody, before you chide us and chastise us, understand that the history of the NBA would make people raise an eyebrow, right? So that's all I'm saying.
Would you lighten up about this, Maggie? This is supposed to be the NBA draft lottery. This is not. I feel like what are we talking about now? Are we talking about government conspiracy? We're talking about the lottery, the Dallas Mavericks, who just traded Luka. I mean, they don't know what the heck they're doing. This is all a bunch of idiots trying to get a product on TV.
Or they're trying to give the Mavericks a flagship player for their new Vegas franchise when they move.
I hear some of the conspiracy theories about the NFL. It makes me laugh so hard. I did this big project with the NFL officials once. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, they're just trying to figure out what's pass interference on a given play. They don't have time to do a conspiracy.
They don't know either. Thank you. Thank you. That reveals
they're like
so much.
Explain
so much.
Yeah.
Listen,
like Bill doesn't know how to call holding. That's like the level of panic they have. Not let's fix this whole thing.
Not all leagues are created the same, Pearl. And not all leagues have to deal with the same stuff. But
yes, they are. There's leagues all operate the exact same way. There's these powerful forces that, I don't think I disagree with that. I do think all the leagues operate very similarly.
No, but even just the draft lottery, that one does not exist in the NFL.
Yeah. But anyway, I just think that you've made this an us versus them thing, like the Bill Writers and McMenamin's, they're not respecting the fans by reporting that the NBA lottery is fixed.
It's fine, but Bogusch came on and said he's going to call us idiots, right?
He's just going to tell us that we're wrong.
They were wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Did you say idiots?
No, I didn't say idiots.
Oh, I thought you did. They're like, we're sheep or something like that.
I said full of you know what.
Yeah, they were full of it. I just would say, like, the NBA has not done themselves favors when it comes to skepticism, is what I would say. This has nothing to do with Bill. I love
By the way,
Bill.
the Cavs had 22.5%. The Mavs just won with 1.2.
1.8.
1.8, right. Like, the Cavs had a much better shot to get LeBron. That was like a 1-4.
By the way, in the chat, Pine Needle said, Maggie, do not lighten up and do not slow down. Carry the flag. We all have your back. There you go.
There it is.
Speaking of stories I'm obsessed with, can we get to Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick? Or do you want to get to Bogusch's update?
No, do Jordan and Bill here.
Okay. So glad you said that. So yesterday we were talking about Pablo Torre's podcast where he did a lot of investigative work. Again, we are on the backs of his investigative work where he talked to 11 different people, all Bill Belichick's different walks of life, Pearl, about what's going on behind the scenes with Jordan Hudson and with Bill Belichick. Now, Pablo has a little bit more for us. This was yesterday on the Dan Le Batard Show. Cuts a little bit long, but stay with him here. Let's all remember the infamous video of Bill Belichick walking out of presumably Jordan Hudson's home on Nantucket.
Palatial estate.
We don't know. We only see the ring cam shooting outwards.
If you got a ring cam.
All right. So Belichick is shirtless. It's the morning. It's a walk of shame situation or stride of pride, whatever you want to call it.
Stride of pride.
He got roasted for it, literally at the Tom Brady roast. They brought it up over and over again. Bill Belichick's walk of shame. It got caught on the ring cam.
Yep.
Here's some more reporting of Pablo Torre about what's going on now behind the scenes with Bill's family when it comes to that video.
How does that happen? Who had access to those videos? And let's say it wasn't Jordan Hudson, just for the sake of this hypothetical that I am just merely hypothetically going into depth on. If it wasn't Jordan Hudson, who was it? And what other videos might have been taken without Bill Belichick's knowledge at almost age 70, wandering around like a bear in the woods on a porch, looking for food? How else could they ensure that there is nothing else that could be monetized or used against the highest paid employee in the state of North Carolina?
Okay, so that's Pablo and a family source close to Belichick wondering who did leak the ring camera footage and what other video may this person have access to, because Bill is not Mr. Media Savvy. He may not even, it may have never crossed his mind that he could have gotten caught on video.
I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to get in trouble with the chat. Jesus, lighten up, Pablo. What else could they have on Bill Belichick? What is going on here? What he just acted like they caught the Prime Minister of France.
He double dipped the nacho.
Yeah, wait, what? Explain to me. Go down this road. Like, what is? Now I'm intrigued.
Maybe there's some kind of video
that could be killing a baby seal on a video. What are in these videos?
Maybe there's something untoward.
He said the highest paid employee of North Carolina.
And the highest paid public employee.
Yeah, okay.
Usually the football.
This is a sport where Bobby Petrino gets like 9 jobs. Like, don't worry about that part. That's fine. If you can win some football games, the state will look around that. But what is possibly on these ring cams? Like them, being intimate?
Nookie? Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. The fact of the matter is Bill's family is like, oh no.
That's a new poll. If there's a Bill Belichick sex tape, will you watch it?
Pablo described him as a bear in the woods.
Yeah. I watched Jordan Hudson.
Hey, Manny.
Manchurian candidate. Manny's just saying whatever.
Manny just won that round. Yeah. Good point.
By the way.
But can you put blinders on?
Can you AI get Bill out of there? Can AI do that?
Just pretend he's not there.
Pretend.
There is no pretending.
He closed one eye.
Use your imagination, Will.
If one eye fell out, would I be able to not see Bill?
Shout out, Bruce.
But I mean, the funny thing about this Belichick thing is like a lot of people make jokes about this video too. Even Pablo is kind of making a joke of Bear in the
It's
Woods.
ridiculous
It's
video.
like super funny. I remember there was a ton of stuff at the Brady roast about it.
Yeah.
Like, wait, why is he making this sound like there's something going on, like a blackmail opportunity?
Well, think
Blackmail
about if you're
what?
if you're Belichick's family,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, how does ring footage get leaked? It's like very personal, unless someone's hacked into your Wi-Fi. Like,
But it was outside, right?
yeah, but it's the ring camera that someone's paying for. This is not. He didn't get caught on the street in some
Right.
random municipal cam.
It could have been. It wasn't a neighbor's ring footage because there were all these houses on top of each other.
No, I think it's right next. You've seen it, yes?
Yeah, I've
It's
seen
right
it.
next to the door,
Oh, so it was.
and
yeah,
it's
that's a
shooting
good question.
out right at the door.
Yeah, but then also, is this Nantucket or is this where her house was? It was her family house, right? That's a rumor.
I think it was Nantucket.
I know he has a house in Wisconsin, gorgeous. Yeah, I think Belichick would be
Now we're doing
thrilled.
Cape Cod real estate.
I think Belichick would be psyched if there was he'd be like, look
Sex
at me. Yes. I mean, honestly,
He'd be psyched.
if you're recruiting, I mean, come on. I mean,
God.
any other ACC coach got something like this? These are
Dabo, you're
18-year-old
up.
kids. These are 18-year-old kids. You don't think they're impressed by this? Because what's Bill Belichick's one fault as a coach? If you're every other coach is like, well, you're going to go play for that 73-year-old. How long do you think he's going to be there? Bill, present.
Bow chicka bow wow.
Evidence A.
I think it could last pretty long.
What if Belichick is not upset by any of this? What if he loves all this attention and he's like, yes.
Ooh, he doesn't love the attention. I think he loves dating a 20-whatever-year-old.
But maybe he likes this idea, like he's getting all this attention for, I'm a kind of guy who can date a pretty 24-year-old.
This is a pretty good comment from Drunkle Sam, which we were monitoring the chat very closely, guys. Jordon tries to pretend he's not there. That's sad.
Oh.
But what do you mean?
Oh.
Like in the,
When they're getting into it.
in the private time.
Chicka bow wow time. She pretends
Every
that
other
he's not
Tuesday.
You mean like she imagines it's Manny?
there. Yes, actually.
There's a couple pictures.
Remember
mustache.
the lap pull downs we were talking about earlier?
Gorilla back.
A couple videos from Miss Maine. I swear to
100 men
God.
against one Manny.
Did you say 100 Jordans versus one Manny?
We could do that too.
Bill Belichick's never looked happier. I'll show you some pictures from the Miss Maine thing. He's smiling from ear to ear. I didn't even know he was capable of smiling.
I know, because every time he smiles, it looks like he's looking straight into the sun.
I feel like this is the happiest he's ever been. I'm not going to lie. And
Happier than when he won all the Super Bowls?
Yeah.
No.
That was more relief.
Have you seen him and have you seen Jordan Hudson?
I have seen Jordan Hudson, yes.
Would you say this was his biggest victory for him?
Poll question.
Let's run up.
Honestly, I'm watching the video again of like, how did that guy pull? I know you guys think because he's rich.
Yes, and famous. Nick, our pal Nick in Texas, we missed an obvious one. It's not Bow Chicka Bow Wow. It's Bill Chicka Bow Wow.
All right.
Like you could do better.
It's still terrible.
Bogusch.
No. I wasn't judging that.
This is just funny when our show's just going to turn into a bunch of us yelling at each other to lighten up.
Wow.
You lighten up.
EJ's going to come back from Mexico. We're going to tell him to lighten up.
Oh,
He's gonna
he does need to lighten up. He better lighten up on this
He's
trip.
in the chat.
Yeah, he's watching the bro, take a break.
Case in point, lighten up, dude. You're on vacation.
Thank
Paying
God.
$9.99 for whatever it's called, like Delta a Go-Go to watch the show over in North Carolina. Lighten up.
Me and Bogusch were high-fiving that EJ wasn't here today. That would have been hard.
Guys, come on.
Oh,
Let the Knicks fans have a moment here.
You hear that, Elijah?
No, the problem is there's like 17 more moments coming. That's the fear.
I know. It's not just like that moment would be fine.
You realize we all just sat through you winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the second time in 6 years or something. So I had already gotten a lot of my obnoxiousness out. This will be 30 years of pent up. And Knicks fans are the worst.
Only 23
Knicks
for
fans
Manny.
celebrate when they win a game 3 over the Hawks.
Right.
Can you imagine? They're famous over celebrators. So this is going to be unbearable. Go Pacers.
Go everyone.
Oh, you guys are insufferable.
You never know. Maybe we get a tape that leaks.
Wasn't radio supposed to close down? Could that happen sometime before the Knicks won the title?
Why would you want us to be unemployed?
To avoid you.
Yeah.
You can't
It's
get
a
an
I'll lighten up.
You
valid
cannot
debate
get
in
an-
Bogusch's mind. All right, Pacers, Knicks. That's going to be warfare. I mean, can you imagine how many controversies, fights, good things that are going to happen?
How about Obi Toppin hitting the dagger 3
How about-
in Game 6
Get
to
outta
clinch
here.
the series?
How about Benedict
Bogusch moved to
Mathurin
Brazil.
fighting with Cat? Oh my God, this is going to be. It's going to be the ugliest thing that we've ever seen.
I wonder how many tones of Tyrese Halliburton's voice we'll get.
Whole new spectrum.
Over under 2.5.
All right, quick break. We do have headlines to get to. More drips and drabs of the NFL schedule coming out, including more primetime games that you need to know about. We'll tell you about your team in just a minute. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Gotta wait. I know that.
Is this the first time you've ever sung?
We Caroline. Bum, bum, bum.
We need to help him out
here. Never seemed so good.
So good! So good! So good!
I've been inclined bum, 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 to believe
now you feel
they never would. Good times never seem so good. So good! So good!
So good!
I've been inclined.
Now you feel it. Let's go.
To believe they never would.
All right, wow.
This now, Bill, make me want to shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Come on now. Come on now. The Bills are making it happen now. Stand up and come on and shout. Yeah. Yeah. Come on and shout. Kick it up now. Shout, 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 shout. Bills are making it happen now. Go Josh Allen. Freddie Jackson. Eric Moulds. Makes me want to shout, 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 shout. I can't follow all the lyrics here. Bills, Bills, Bills. Hey,
Peerless Price.
Hey.
Eagles fly on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! I gotta wait. I know that.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie Perloff Show. Another, I don't want to step on Bogusch's update here. One more schedule release, NFL schedule release, an international game. First time ever. Pittsburgh Steelers going to Dublin.
Yes.
And they'll be facing who?
So I'm going to give you the full rundown here.
Okay.
Now, inside this rundown is a historical note. I want to see if you guys can catch it, okay?
Okay.
So this is the full rundown of the NFL's international games this fall. And again, we knew the home teams for all of these games. Now we know who they're playing. So it is Chiefs and Chargers in Brazil, Steelers and Vikings in Dublin. And then in London, we've got Browns, Vikings, Jets, Broncos, and Jaguars, Rams. The Colts and Falcons in, I think that's Berlin. And then the Dolphins and Commanders in Madrid. So if
I'm
you
sorry.
way
Can you
too
say that
much
one
going
more
on.
time?
Yeah.
You lost me. Pittsburgh, they're going to be playing the Vikings. That's in Dublin. That's the first time ever.
Yes. So Chiefs, Chargers in Brazil.
Okay.
Okay.
Steelers, Vikings in Dublin. Then we've got Cleveland, Minnesota in London. Jets, Broncos in London. Jaguars, Rams in London.
Jags only doing one game in London this year?
Correct.
Huh.
Colts, Falcons in Germany. Dolphins, Commanders in Madrid.
And so what's your question?
Somewhere in there
Yeah.
is something that's never happened
A
before.
back-to-back Dublin, London with Vikings, you mean?
Yes, the Vikings were the
Yeah.
first team to play back-to-back international games in different countries.
Oh, so
in different countries. Okay.
Going from Dublin to London.
So in this, if we extrapolated this out, if there's ever a division in Europe, you're saying this could be a little bit of a litmus test of how you play two
well, we
games
had the
in two different
Jaguars stay there, right, and play back-to-back weeks in London in London. But now we're going to have the Vikings go to Ireland, set up shop, then pick up and move to London, set up shop and play a different team in a different country, and then come back home.
It's a little deceiving, though, because Dublin and London aren't that far apart.
Oh, I know.
They're two different countries, though.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, but so what? I mean, the Mets the Yankees play
In
two
Toronto.
different countries in a 6-week. Yeah, so that's like playing Toronto. Is that? Would you say, oh my God,
we've done this before. We've done the Toronto thing. Like the Blue Jays aren't new.
But it's not such a radical
It's
move.
an anomaly.
It's not Singapore and London. That's all I'm
No.
saying.
And like the teams know now how to do like the semantics of these trips and when to leave and that kind of stuff. So it's not that hard, but it is. There's still we still seem to make this a big effort to go across the Atlantic, and now one team is going to do two different locations.
I just think that eventually are we getting to a place where it's Dublin, London, Madrid, and Berlin
definitely Germany
all have teams, and they're a European division.
I really don't want that. And I really don't know how you sell players on either leaving their family or moving their family to a different country.
It's a
for
lot.
season.
I get that. I mean, are we also in an 18-week schedule where you have two buys? I don't know what kind of incentives you have to play over there.
Yeah. I think Boomer down the hall is pretty set on the fact that we're going to have that.
18.
No, I'm sorry, a European division.
Mm-hmm. Listen,
and he's pretty locked in, obviously.
That's true.
He's not guessing.
There's one thing that I do like that maybe only because I'm on the East Coast and other people, I like when a game's on at 9:30 in the morning, can be fun. But if you live in California, that's your life. In Oregon, that's your life.
I don't like it. I find it very hard to set my fantasy lineup. I find that super annoying. And I'm not alone with that one. That one's like just a panic text that go around. Remember, set your fantasy lineup. I don't like 9:30 football. It's funny. You guys do like that? Because then the other thing, too, is then you're on your couch from 9:30
until midnight.
Until 12:30.
I get it, but I would love it if people on the West Coast have it so great when it comes to football because it actually ends at a reasonable hour.
Also, I think the London, the overseas games, the quality still to me is a little bit down. Like they're usually a little junky.
That's why I don't bet on them. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean the Bills. They recently had a loss that they never should have had because they were overseas.
Because the Jags got to stay there for 2 weeks, so their body clock was all perfect.
Right, I remember that
theory.
that
mini one.
And that was a real theory.
That
Get that
Jets
notebook out, hold on.
I don't know
Jets
how Adam
Vikings game
Silver's
was
involved.
terrible last year. Right, remember that game? That was just
That was
That was
Jets
awful.
Vikings, I think.
Yeah, that was a terribly played game. It used to be the field was really bad at Wembley. I don't know. I'm not as big a fan to it. If I could run the league, I would keep it in America. I know they want to sell shirts overseas. I get it.
I just don't understand. You got Mexico right there. Like, you want to expand internationally. You have Mexico. Like, you have a huge fan base.
But I think they can get into that market without even putting a team there, they might think. Where overseas, the further east or west, whatever way you want to go, they're just trying to get more markets, right? The Super Bowl, they've already maxed out here. So the point is, where do you get more viewers? I wouldn't rule out, Dubai and places like that for the NFL. That's what I was wondering if you say. If they put a Europe division, you don't think that they're going to go to the Middle East and play?
Only a matter of time.
I mean, they'll take some of that Middle Eastern money. Well, all the sports leagues are going to.
Oh, certainly. I mean, Saudi Arabia already basically owns golf and tennis.
Yeah.
So.
And college football soon, right?
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Is that it? We left you no time, folks.
Warriors lost. Knicks won. Jason Tatum hurt. Back to you.
I didn't want to woo that last part.
Any word on Tatum?
No.
Bummer. Also on Aaron Rodgers' watch today. Thank you, Manny Rodriguez.
Go
Alex,
Knicks.
great job. Fantastic. Thank you, Bogusch. Thank you, Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers, Master, Tesfatian, who joined us earlier today from Barcelona, which was pretty cool. See you tomorrow.